KIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 101.1 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 101.1 everywhere.
It is Monday, February 6th. Good morning. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa, -9, feels like -18. In Smiths Falls, it is -8 and feels like -14. And here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. More than 1,900 people are now reported dead in back-to-back massive earthquakes and aftershocks rocked southeast Turkey and northern Syria. City News reporter Jamie Pulfer has the latest.
The concern is that this death toll could climb so much higher into the tens of thousands. At this point, more than 1,900 are now reported dead after this catastrophic earthquake in Turkey and Syria. Thousands more injured. It's one of the strongest quakes to hit the region in more than a century, flattening buildings and homes while people were sleeping. And then another massive 7.5 magnitude quake hours later with rescue efforts underway. You can hear the desperation there, some using their bare hands digging through tangled metal and giant piles of concrete in the winter weather. The aftershocks have been relentless, according to CNN meteorologist Chad Myers.
An earthquake in itself would have been the strongest earthquake since 1999 in the region. This earth slipped, and this earth slipped in what we call a strike slip, where the plates are touching and all of a sudden they slide sideways.
NATO, the European Union, more than 40 countries are offering their help. The World Health Organization has activated its network of emergency medical teams in Turkey and Syria. And there are big concerns about Syria, with areas under rebel control, complicating the logistics of getting help into this country that's already been through so much, more than a decade of civil war. Jamie Pulfer, City News.
With the weather forecast for Ottawa and the Valley, here is City News weather specialist Denise Andriachi.
Sun and cloud today, a guaranteed high of -4. We're pretty clear overnight, -13 for a low in Ottawa. Cloudy with the chance of some flurries, light snow and mixing. The guaranteed high for today, -4.
City News time 10:03. The city's Auditor General is set to release 3 long-awaited reports this week. The reports will cover the police service and the City of Ottawa's response to the trucker convoy protest last winter. The reports are expected on Wednesday. A special meeting of the Ottawa Police Service Board will be held on Thursday to discuss the details of the reports. Now, these reports from the AG are separate from the Public Order Emergency Commission, which is focusing on the federal government's decision to invoke the Emergencies Act during the protest. And starting today, Ottawa residents can voice their opinions on the 2023 draft budget. Consultations on the budget, which includes a 2.5% property tax increase, kicks off today. These consultations are hosted by city councillors. Each committee will get their turn to hear from the public at a later date. The meeting is scheduled for Radio Jock Ward this evening. I am Damilola Unime. For News Anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, happy Monday, everyone. I'm Sam Laprade. Welcome to City News. It certainly was a lovely weekend. Had some time with my family, which was great. Back to a busy week, of course. We wanted to get caught up with a very busy person. That's Merritt Stiles, the new Ontario NDP leader. Good morning, Merritt.
Good morning. Great to be here.
What does it feel like, Merritt, to be introduced as the new leader?
Wonderful. You know, really, really wonderful. And it is a privilege. You know, I've always felt it was a privilege to be elected at any level, and but this is really a big job. But I feel like I'm ready for it, and I'm excited to get started.
And of course, you know, when we think about all of the issues that face Ontario, there are so many. Is it a bit daunting to sort of choose your path, or have you got your path set out, Merritt?
Well, you know, I think really, and I'll say this, I think our path since the last election has been very, very clear. Because right away after the election, Doug Ford and the Conservatives started to break some of the promises they made, some pretty big ones. and take things in a direction that I think a lot of Ontarians weren't expecting and certainly didn't vote for. And so I think it's been pretty clear what our priorities are, which are to both, hold the government to account, which is the role of the official opposition, but also as the NDP and with a really strong team to prepare for the next election, because we really do need to build a movement to unseat this government in 2026.
We know that Andrea Horwath, of course, held that role for so many years. Did you have conversations with Andrea leading up to this, or do you plan to keep having them if you did?
Oh, sure, absolutely. And Andrea Horwath is now the mayor of Hamilton and doing great work there, and she set a really strong foundation, over her time as leader in our party. We have a very strong, like I said, official opposition caucus, and we're really ready, I think, and that's what's so exciting about this opportunity we have now. And so I will definitely continue to keep reaching out to Andrea. She has so much experience. And also, she's going to bring, like so many of our municipal leaders, that voice of municipalities to the forefront, which is critical if we're going to create opportunities, but also to meet some of our greatest challenges. And of course, we all know that probably one of the largest of those is addressing the affordable housing shortage in our province.
And we know that the Ford government has certainly done some, we'll call them interesting things since their election in June 2nd, including, this whole idea about the green belt and how that got bought up by developers when really the land was worthless one day and priceless the next.
Yeah, I mean, this is, and I think most Ontarians, and I do hear it all over the province, deep concern about this, concern that the government's going to go and do more of the same in other regions. But it's that sense that something smells really fishy here, that the government was adamant they weren't going to sell off that land, they weren't going to allow development on it, and then they turn around and break that promise. And a lot of I'd say a small number of very wealthy developers are going to make a lot of money off that. So I've been pursuing this with the Integrity Commissioner. The Auditor General is going to be conducting an independent investigation. And I'm going to continue to throw everything I've got at that issue, because I think that there's something deeply wrong here. And I think the government, as I said, there's something smells a bit fishy here too. But at the end of the day, doing away with that really important environmentally, ecologically sensitive land, that opportunity to grow the food for future generations, because a lot of that land is prime farmland, is deeply concerning. And you know what really drives me crazy about this issue, actually most of all, is that the government says this is about housing. Well, this is not about housing. I don't think we're going to see one affordable unit built on that land. And also, municipalities have the plans in place to build that affordable housing. Government needs to roll up their sleeves and get that work done.
It's so interesting you say that, because that was going to be sort of my next question, because so much of this is really being, spun, if you will, by the Ford government to say, listen, you're all asking for housing, and this is our solution. So it's going to be a very challenging time to sort of see how that plays out.
I've met with a lot of the municipal leaders from across this province, and including like folks from rural municipalities, and they're all saying, we know that there's a housing crisis everywhere, but it is an affordable housing crisis, right? It's like people just can't afford to buy a home, they can't afford to rent anymore, even in some of our smallest communities where it was not ever, really as much of an issue. And so now those communities are saying, look, we are going to the government. We've got plans. We need the support of government. We want to use some of the provincial lands and properties and stuff to we'd like if they turned that over so that we could actually, build more housing. Government isn't interested in that. They seem to be just more interested in developing and helping out a few people who seem to be, pretty close to the government, rather than actually building housing where it will be most useful. And that's the other thing, right, is trying to limit that urban sprawl. We know we need to build density in big cities like Ottawa and Toronto and Hamilton, and those cities know you guys have done the work to get us there. The provincial government needs to come on board.
And what do you say to Merritt to Ontarians that say, listen, it is a very challenging time on the pocketbook right now when it comes to, everything from food to gas. Obviously, interest rate hikes have really caused a lot of challenges for families as well. And Ontarians say, maybe the NDP government is a more expensive option. We're going to stick with Ford because they're more fiscally responsible. What's your argument there?
Well, I mean, I think all you have to do is look at the amount of money that this government has wasted, either wasted away on ridiculous projects or things like, frankly, vanity projects like the license plate, but also the money that they haven't spent, that they decided to sit on, that was allocated to things like public health care. And I will say the government's plan to expand expand private for-profit clinics, and I think is going to cost us all a lot more. It's going to mean that more public health care dollars go into profits of shareholders instead of into patient care. Like, this costs us more. And not only does it provide, I think, lesser quality care, but it literally costs governments more. So we have great plans in place that I think are very affordable and are very fiscally and financially responsible. And if you look at the history of Canada, we've had many NDP governments across this country who've really led very fiscally responsible governments, and that's because we actually, take this responsibility we have as being the government of the people very, very seriously.
And what do you think, Merritt, as well, about the whole idea from the Ford government that, they're trying to fix healthcare? Some would say they broke it so that they could fix it their way, including privatization. What would you say about that? Because there's a lot of dollars that weren't spent, as you know, through the pandemic, and a lot of nurses suffering. Bill 124, I mean, it could go on and on and on. Right. Did they break this system to then come out and try and pretend they solved it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, this is a crisis that is in part the making of this government. They've definitely deepened the crisis. And I always say to people, I don't think it was great when they came into power, but, look at the last 4 years. Has life actually gotten any better? Have things improved? I mean, yes, we faced a pandemic, but this government made choices in that pandemic to withhold some of the dollars that they could have spent to make life easier for people. And now, even just in the last year, again, like $1 billion that they had allocated for healthcare that they didn't spend. Why? This is a crisis. It's also, as you said, a crisis of staffing, right? And so while we're facing a healthcare human resource crisis, we can't find enough nurses and other healthcare workers to work in the system, the government has decided to continue to go to court to suppress their wages. So to me, that says that's a government that is not looking for solutions. There is a crisis underway. I think it's partly of their making, certainly. And the solutions are actually in the public healthcare system. But we do need to be innovative. We do need bold ideas. But what we don't need is to divert our public dollars into private companies that at the end of the day, and we've seen this over and over again, look at all the contract scandals that we're seeing in Ottawa and everywhere. We know that actually the public system does work very effectively and efficiently, and the solutions are there, and it will be absolutely my first priority heading into this term as official opposition leader.
So, Merritt, if we're speaking on June 4th of 2026, are you the Premier of Ontario that day?
I certainly hope I will have the privilege of taking on that role. I think it's more than possible. I ran in this election to be the leader of the official opposition NDP because I know that we can do it, and also because I think we have to do it. I think the people of this province are counting on us to bring together progressives, to put forward a really bold vision and build a bigger movement to unseat these guys. And I think we can do it. And I think I am the leader who can make that happen. Yeah.
Well, I think we have 3 years to talk then. So that's good. Let's continue the dialogue. Merritt Stiles, appreciate your time today. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Merritt Stiles joining us today. Ontario NDP leader. It's a new day. It's a new dawn. We're looking forward to spending some time with Merritt and getting to know her more. When we come back, Stuart Reynolds is going to join us. Well, you know him as Brittle Star. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Hi, my name is Arkantel and I'm part of Encore Ottawa. My set will be coming out this week, so I hope you can watch it and enjoy it. Thank you.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
My Uncle Cheney was one of over 150,000 Indigenous children that were taken to residential schools between the 1800s and 1996. My uncle ran away from school, wanting to get home to his mom and dad, and sadly he didn't make it and died of exposure. When Gord Downey found out about my late Uncle Cheney's story, he wrote Secret Path, a series of poems that became an album, then a graphic novel, a documentary, and a concert. Gord met my family, and together we formed the Gord Downey and Cheney Winjack Fund. Together, we are sharing Secret Path and other reconciliation resources with legacy schools, setting up legacy spaces across Canada, and hosting events like Secret Path Week to inspire all Canadians to engage in reconciliation. Before he left us, Gord asked us all to do something.
You're going to figure it out.
Will you join us? Together, we can make Canada a better place.
Everyone loves a snow day, but less fortunate kids in Ottawa are missing out because they don't have a warm winter snowsuit. Help kids in need and have fun at the same time by joining the Snowsuit Fund's Snow Angel Challenge. Simply fall back in the snow, make a snow angel, and upload your photo or video to social media. The Snow Angel Challenge, a very cool way to help keep kids warm. Visit snowsuitfund.com to learn more and donate.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
Next time on Simply Cooking by Chef,
we're going to be making creme brulee, a risotto with wild-caught salmon, lemon, and fresh herbs, and my favorite mista salad.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Never forget to tie your shoes. If you won't buy gas for your truck, it's more than just bad luck. If you don't pay your electric bill, lights might go out, but not for the reason you think. Or if they get your order wrong on Deliveroo, that's not down to them, and it's not down to you. Everything dumb you did is not your fault. You're brought down by the left-wing economic establishment. You're brought down.
Well, of course, that is the one and only Brittle Star. He joins me now. Hello. Good morning, Stuart.
Good morning. How you doing?
Fantastic. So you're always obviously trying to make us laugh, which is fantastic as a comedian. And you seem to find these issues, and sometimes it's issues that aren't very funny, like the economy. Tell us a little bit about this video you created.
Well, yeah. So this video that I created was sort of came about because I saw this Sunday Telegraph headline about former British PM Liz Truss, and she'd done an interview and said that it was the left-wing economic establishment that had brought her down. And I just thought, man, that's funny for a number of reasons. One is I just like the idea that it wasn't down to anything else except this outside force, this mysterious outside force. And then I also really like the idea that both sides of the political spectrum think the other one has the money. That's also funny to me.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. And, I look back at, certainly through the pandemic, you kept us laughing. You seem to find issues that maybe drain us as people, but we seem to get some energy from you when you create this content. Is that the objective, Stuart, that we really think about things in a different way?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, that's kind of the idea, is to take a look at some of this stuff. It can get pretty overwhelming. There's so much news. It's happening all the time. It all seems quite dire. Everything seems super serious. And every now and then, it's kind of nice to kind of just take a couple of steps back, take a deep breath, and look at something and go, no, that's actually pretty ridiculous. Let's just everyone take a breath and move on from here. It'll be okay.
And when you look back at all your videos, you've been on with me on City News for a number of years now, and you think about all of the videos that you've done. Is there a couple that really stand out as ones that you received a lot of feedback from?
I mean, certainly throughout the pandemic, there was a lot of feedback from those. A lot of people were sort of pleased to find out that, they were doing the right thing and that was being recognized, and the majority of people were doing the right thing. They weren't alone, even though it felt like sometimes they were. So that was, that stuff has always stood out to me. But I mean, it's weird. There's certain videos that people will say, I like that video you did, and they'll refer to some video and be like, oh, I don't remember making that video, but I'm glad you liked it.
That's so funny. And is there just something about Canadian comedians? Because there's a lot of talent up north here.
Yeah, I think, it's the old thing of, I think one of the things Canada has is that we're kind of slightly removed in a weird sort of psychological way and also a physical way from the big countries like the U.S. and the U.K. and all that kind of stuff. And I think it makes it slightly more objective, and it gives us a bit of a bird's eye view. And I think when you're able to do that, then you're not sort of, you're able to see the forest. You're able, as opposed to have your, being blinded by the trees. You're not in the thick of it. Mm-hmm. You're kind of like pulled back, and you can see a bit better the big picture. And I think that makes comedy a little easier, and it also makes it a little more fun for Canadians, because you can make fun of things and hopefully not get too stressed about stuff.
Well, and of course you're the internet's favorite dad, right? Now was there a poll done, or how did that come about?
Yes, it was a poll of one. One Canadian was polled, and one Canadian responded 100% that right. I am the internet's favorite dad. That poll contained me.
There you go. And there is something funny about parenting, although it doesn't feel like it, right?
Yes, there is, because parenting is terrifying. It's horrible. It's awful. And then there's one moment of absolute bliss that makes you forget all the other horrible stuff, and you start all over again.
Exactly. Absolutely. And when I think about, just the different videos that you've done and the way that you use, I think the different backgrounds and you really do sort of come across sometimes as like, is this from The Onion or something? Like, it just, sometimes you gotta watch you. I mean, if you don't know you sort of have to go, hey, wait a second, because you look very official sometimes, Stuart.
Well, I clean up well. That's the key, exactly.
There you go. And where are you performing? Are you actually out on the road at all?
Not currently, but going to be doing some work in the UK coming up, which is fun, and just putting out more videos and doing lots of cool, fun stuff. Yeah.
Have you ever heard from anybody that you've sort of maybe poked fun at? Have they ever reached out to you?
Thankfully, no. I sort of when I'm out and people say to me, people will come up to me and they'll say, "Are you that Brittle Star guy?" And I always kind of put my one foot back just so I can duck quick, just in case they swing for me.
That's so funny. And and I can't imagine what it's been like. I mean, as you know, I do a little tiny little bit of comedy, but it's not my world by any stretch in terms of how I make a living. But it was so challenging for comedians. They really did have to find another way to make people laugh, and I think you're at the forefront of that. I don't think anyone really did it better than you during this time.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It was really difficult to navigate. I think one of the things that sort of got me through was that there's, when you look at the circle of emotion, the laughter and the crying are right next to each other. So you can kind of lean into either side to balance it out and make it okay.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Very, very beautifully said. Stuart, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it very much. Stuart Reynolds, a Brittle Star. If you haven't checked him out, you have to do that. He does some great stuff. I'm sure you've seen him on social media if you check him out here on City News sometimes. And a little bit later, we're going to be speaking with Teresa Kavanagh. She's the city councillor for Bay Ward. We're going to be talking about Ottawa community housing. We're also going to get to meet the Canadian culinary champion. She is from Ottawa. She was the only woman She is a rock star. We're going to be meeting Brianna Kim a little bit later. Chef Brianna Kim, I should say, which is fantastic. We're going to be spending time with her. We're also going to be talking with Errol Mendez about this balloon that was flying over the States and got shot down. He's a professor of law, faculty of law at the University of Ottawa. We're going to get his take on what's happened there. We're also going to speak with Steve Warren, as we do every single Monday, get caught up on all things Senators. We'll talk a little all-star hockey as well. And we have a couple of people set up to have our lunch today. Lots of great topics there as well. We're also going to be having a little bit of a sweet business lunch. We look forward to that. We look forward to you hanging out with us. Did you have a busy weekend there, Noah?
You know, it was actually pretty quiet.
Yeah?
It was pretty quiet, which I think, you know, after the Christmas holidays and after you're fully settled down, it's nice to just have a quieter weekend. So,
chill.
What about you?
Well, I finally got the art up around my house.
Oh, wow.
So I moved on...
Making progress.
I know, I'm so excited. So I moved on December the 3rd, so it's only taken me 2 months to get the art up.
Well, I mean,
a very long
all
time.
considering you moved around the holidays.
True.
So really only like a month.
And I'm not tripping over paintings anymore, which is absolutely fantastic. So we did that, and then you know, had a couple friends over. Had some fun. Tried to stay out of trouble.
Very nice. Nothing like the previous girls' weekend you had up in Chelsea, though. Right?
That was where the memories were made, my friend. That's where the memories were made. Well, listen, we're going to go out with a little brittle star here on City News.
Tie your shoes. If you won't buy gas for your truck, it's more than just bad luck. If you don't pay your electric bill, lights might go out, but not for the reason you think. Or if they get your order wrong on Deliveroo, that's not down to them, and it's not down to you. Everything dumb you did is not your fault. You're brought down by the left when you get...
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Little brown girl, Hey, I'm Picasso in Vontief. I'm so happy to be involved with Encore Ottawa Season 3. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have in store for you.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, some people used the A word. They called it an accident, but it wasn't. An accident implies that no one was at fault. But when someone impaired by alcohol and/or drugs chooses to drive, they're fully responsible for the crash that can result. So please, for the memory of my brother DJ and the thousands of families whose lives have been shattered by impaired drivers, let's drop the A word.
A crash caused by impaired driving is not an accident.
Here we go.
Hey, going back in, okay?
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It is Monday, February 6th. Good morning. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa, -9 feels like -16. In Smiths Falls, it is -7, feels like -13. And here's what's making news this hour. It appears more drivers are hitting the road with expired licenses after the provincial government stopped mailing out reminders. Police tell the CBC they are seeing dramatic increase in people not renewing their driver's license plate stickers and health cards. The Ford government halted paper renewal notices last March, except for specific groups. Many drivers who have been pulled over say they simply forgot to renew their license because they no longer received the reminders. The Ministry of Health and Ministry of Transportation say people can sign up online for text or email reminders ahead of their cards expiring. Forgetting to renew can lead to fines of $325 for an expired license and $110 for expired plates. A new Public Health Ontario science brief obtained by the Canadian Press says a mask mandate alone may not have helped ease the respiratory virus surge last fall. The brief provides a glimpse into the evidence on which Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Kieran Moore, made his decision to go no further than a strong recommendation on masking last November. It notes that there was little evidence in scientific literature on the sole effect of masking on the transmission of influenza and RSV. The death toll from that 7.8 magnitude earthquake that hit Turkey and Syria earlier today is now over 2,000 people. Hundreds of people are believed to be trapped under the rubble, and officials say the death toll is expected to continue to rise as rescue workers search mounds of wreckage in cities and towns across the area. City News Time is 10:31. I am Damilola Unime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, you're back on the Sam Laprade Show. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. We wanted to get caught up with City Councillor for Bay Ward, Teresa Kavanagh. Hello, Teresa.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for spending time with us. There's so many different issues that, of course, Council is facing right now. I think one of the ones we talk about a lot, I actually just spoke about that topic with Merritt Stiles, the new leader of the Ontario NDP, about affordable housing. You have some thoughts on affordable housing. You've been in, of course, this role for a number of years. Where's your mind at in terms of this issue that faces the city?
Well, Ottawa Community Housing, I was just named chair this year, and I'm very excited about it, is the best way to get affordable housing, deep affordable housing. It's nonprofit. It's the only shareholder is the city. And we're the ones that have the housing right now. We're housing 32,000 people with 15,000 homes. And that's just about everyone you can think of, from seniors to children, single moms. And we need to build more because the building stopped many, many years ago when funding was not supplied anymore by the province or the feds. And they're just starting to realize that it's a crisis and it has to be done now. Mm-hmm. We're way behind.
And I think the challenge, Teresa, is often, as we saw when housing was being built so many years ago, is some of it didn't have the maintenance and the operational costs as well, which caused some deficiencies in some of the buildings. How will that be rectified?
Well, that is a constant concern, and it's something that we're working on. In some cases, we have to do an assessment of whether it's just like your own home. Are the repairs such that you should start again? And in some cases, we are looking at renewing housing. For example, Rochester Heights, the new development that was just built on Rochester, Ottawa Community Housing took down old stock townhouses built in the early 60s and replaced them and put in brand new housing and put in more housing in the same amount of space. That's the kind of thing we're looking at doing across the city. We have our own properties, we have our own housing, and sometimes we have to make these decisions. Not possible everywhere, and we have to make those investments, especially for energy efficiency and other things that will save in the long run and make people more comfortable. So those are constant costs. And we need help with that too.
For sure. And I know Ottawa Community Housing, I know I spoke with your colleague, of course, former City Councillor Mathieu Fleury, who held that position as chair for so many years. When I spoke with him, the creativity behind the affordable housing, not only from a sustainability perspective, but as you mentioned, the energy efficiencies and just the different creative ways of building these, that has to be at the forefront with the number that we need in such a short period of time.
Oh yes, it's really hard to catch up when there's been decades, literally, of no housing being built, and we're trying to do our best, and some of the housing stock is needs to be renewed. So we're taking it on and building for the future. That's very important.
And when you think about different parcels of land that the City of Ottawa has that maybe could have some housing on them, are there lots within the core, or are they sort of on the outskirts? I think about the parcel of land that has been put aside for the new Barhaven police station, for instance, right on Prince of Wales there. I know you've got pockets of land. Is there any available for this?
Well, the first thing we look at is our own land, and which is the case like with Rochester Heights. The next one is Gladstone, which is being built. You want it near transit. So that is the first priority, so people do not need a car to live. They can live without it. We are looking at future development, for example, in Foster Farm. That will be a redevelopment as well. And the city has properties which are transit-oriented development, that is near transit sites, near stations. That would be the first pick for sure. So if we build it out where people are going to have to rely on cars, that's not going to be great for people who are on low income. I mean, the average income is pretty low, like below $1,500 a month. You want to have it so that they don't need a car,
right?
And they can use those affordable passes that OC Transpo has.
We're speaking with Councillor Kavanagh. Councillor, when you think about all of the challenges that this city has faced, and globally, of course, in terms of the pandemic, but there's been challenges that the city's faced in terms of, the convoy and just all the sort of inner fighting. I mean, it was a difficult year last year. Did those types of things take your eye off the ball at all in terms of moving forward? How hard is it to sort of balance all of these things, but make sure that this is a priority that stays top of mind?
Oh, I think it distracted us all. And I think we lost confidence in just the way we handle things. But we're moving forward. I really think we're moving forward, and we'll learn from it. And the pandemic has been the biggest problem in terms of holding us back, where things were put on pause, and there's been so many repercussions. It's kind of had a domino effect in terms of labor shortages and supply chain shortages, et cetera. But in terms of just how we feel as a city to move forward, now we got to get our eye on the ball, and affordable housing has to be the number one priority.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've seen this wait list be, anywhere between sort of 10 and 12,000 for so long. And we know that, there are moms living in motels with 3 or 4 kids, and it's so challenging. Does that wait list weigh on you?
Very much. Very much. I live in a neighborhood with the motel just up the street, by the way. So I see it up close. It's heartbreaking, as well as shelter. So, and I visit our social housing sites, and I would love to give everybody a home, a real home. We've got to stop thinking in terms of shelters and stopgaps. We have to build. We have to build homes, and I think we can do it. I really do. There's examples all over the world where they're working on these issues, and I'm really confident that we can move forward.
And we've seen councillors.
But we need our partners. I should make an emphasis on that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. It can't be done at the municipal level, especially with the tax, the tax rate at what it is, and we, we're servicing $200 million in debt every year. I mean, there's just so much, only so much you can do, right, at your level. When I think about all of the all of the issues that you've faced. And when I think about, domestic violence and intimate partner violence and all of that, we're finding some of those families, some of those women have fled with their children. They're in the system. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes, well, that's the thing, and we put them in shelters. It's another group of people that is growing, and during the pandemic, it was invisible to us, but we knew something's going on here, and we were very worried about it. And yes, it puts an emphasis on how important affordable housing is when a family is no longer in their home, they leave it. Where do they go? There's, I appreciate all the agencies that do all their work to help these families, mostly women with children, but we need permanent solutions. And I feel just so sad and exasperated that we're left with solutions of just, shelters and other stopgaps, but we need more.
And we've seen in other, cities that they're really trying to do that integrated affordable housing as opposed to making these entire communities, which we have even seen here in the Ottawa area doesn't work. Have you sort of thought more about that integration, having places that are market value and affordable housing in the same building?
Well, absolutely. That's what Rochester Heights is.
Right.
It's just opened, and it is Ottawa community housing, but it's got market rate rent, which is actually below some of the competitors. I'll tell you, it's far more affordable even at the market rate, but it's all mixed, and that's where we're going. We see that just having social housing by itself creates stigma, and it's not healthy. We need to have mixed communities, and definitely that's the model going forward. So one by one, we have to go through the communities that we rejuvenate and bring that philosophy, and it's healthier for everybody.
Oh, it certainly is. I'm so happy to hear that. We've also seen in other communities people use this idea of tiny homes. Has that ever sort of come to the forefront at all?
Well, yes, I've had that brought to me, and of course I've seen it myself, but homes need land, and land is the expensive part. That's the catch. It's not the construction of the home that's as expensive as where you put it. And so that's the missing link there. The concept is very nice, but if you're using land that you could build on for many people, your first choice is that. And we'll continue to be building, but I need to learn more about these tiny homes, but they still have a feeling of temporariness to them. And I think we need to make sure that there's permanent homes for everyone.
Well, I am really happy to see that you're the chair of Ottawa Community Housing. I know that this is an issue that's really important to you. Before I let you go, I just have to ask, how was the snow removal in your community, Teresa?
Well, we keep in touch very closely with the city on that, and they're working their way through. And people, of course, want it now. I know on the main arterials that they're concerned because sometimes you lose a whole lane. I've seen it on Carling. They're going to do Carling today, for example. They got waylaid with, another storm pending. So it's a lot. And in fact, I had a coffee chat on Thursday where the snow removal guy, I guess I should get his proper title, came by and chatted with residents about their concerns. It was great because they got to hear in person, how hard they are working and how they're throwing everything at it to remove that snow. But let's face it, it's a lot, and they're getting it done.
That's fantastic. I appreciate the update. I know people will be excited to see some of those banks cleared and make it safe for everybody. And even just trying to sometimes see to pull out somewhere, the bank is so high. So I'm hoping some of those are reduced this week for sure.
Absolutely. We just have to keep checking the weather and making sure there's not another big storm coming.
Exactly.
That's the issue.
Councillor Kavanagh, you're always so generous with your time. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sam. Nice to talk to you.
Always a pleasure. City Councillor for Bay Ward, Teresa Kavanagh, touching on the good work of Ottawa Community Housing, trying to do things a little bit differently there, which is definitely welcomed. We wanted to also connect today with Chef Brianna Kim. And boy, oh boy, has she had a weekend. We'll touch base with her when we return on Rogers TV and City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Hi, my name is Arkantel and I'm part of Encore Ottawa. My set will be coming out this week, so I hope you can watch it and enjoy it. Thank you.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
At St. John Ambulance, we're all about community. We teach life-saving skills and provide community support through our volunteer services. All St. John Ambulance product sales and training registrations support these important services. Volunteer, donate, or enroll in a program today so we can continue to have an impact on our community. Visit sja.ca to learn more. At St. John Ambulance, we do more than save lives, we change lives.
I'm Derek Fage, and I encourage you to join me each and every weekday at 2 p.m. for an edition of Daytime Ottawa. We will share with you some fabulous stories, inspirational stories, and of course, recipes from local chefs. We'll tell you about some wonderful musical performances, introduce you to local businesses and charities, and so much more. Join us here on Daytime Ottawa at 2 p.m. weekdays with repeats at 6 and 11 p.m.
At Celebrate Ottawa, we love showing you something a little different. We showcase remarkable people highlighting the city's diversity in arts, culture, sports, and nature. We will show you features that prove Ottawa is a vibrant and exciting city. We'll entertain you and we'll even teach you new things. Join me, your host, Lila Grine, as we explore and celebrate Ottawa.
Everyone loves a snow day, but less fortunate kids in Ottawa are missing out because they don't have a warm winter snowsuit. Help kids in need and have fun at the same time by joining the Snowsuit Fund's Snow Angel Challenge. Simply fall back in the snow, make a snow angel, and upload your photo or video to social media. The Snow Angel Challenge, a very cool way to help keep kids warm. Visit snowsuitfund.com to learn more and donate.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
Next time on Simply Cooking by Chef,
we're going to be making creme brulee, a risotto with wild-caught salmon, lemon, and fresh herbs, and my favorite mista salad.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, I don't know what you did this weekend, but I certainly know what Chef Brianna Kim did this weekend. She won the Canadian Culinary Championship, and she joins me now. Hello, Chef.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh my! I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
And tell me what this the Great Kitchen Party, of course, and this culinary championship. Give us a little bit of a sense for people that maybe haven't participated or don't know much about it. Give us a little bit of history.
I think this is the 15th year. It's the biggest culinary competition in the country, and this weekend it was 9 chefs, including myself, across the country competing for the championship.
And it's incredible, Brianna, and you won, and you were the only female out of all the chefs. Does that make it a little bit sweeter?
Maybe a little bit, but I hope it's inspiring for other female chefs or any chefs who are paving their own ways and doing something a little bit different, because I think that was our competitive edge. So I hope it's inspiring to a lot of people.
So tell us a little bit about your history. How did you decide to become a chef?
My parents were artists, and I always wanted to do something very creative. And I found what we do at Alice, just focusing on fermentation, and we do plant-based. We use plant-based ingredients, so foraging, fermentation, and then the blind 8-course tasting menu, offering experience and using our creativity to offer something really unique. I was very drawn to something like that. So it's been, opening Alice has been a dream for sure. And we opened in 2019, and it's been a journey.
It has been a journey because, of course, you know, through the pandemic. Tell us what it was like, Brianna, to open this restaurant in 2019 and go through all of that challenging time.
It was challenging, but we are a very small restaurant with just about 10 staff. So we of course there was a government support, but we were still lucky that we had about 8 months before the pandemic and before we had to close down. So there was enough press out there, and a lot of people visited us as soon as we opened. So we felt pretty lucky that when we reopened, there was still a momentum and people looking forward to visiting again. And we used that downtime, we used it as impetus for research and development. And we sort of had a 5-year plan, what we wanted to accomplish, and we sort of expedited that in 2 years.
Wow. And for those that haven't visited Alice, where can we find you?
We're off Adeline, Preston, on 40 Adeline.
Amazing. And how does this change your career, chef?
We're just taking it as a cue to just keep going. We are, again, offering something very unique and different. So you sometimes don't know if it would appeal to as many people as it did this weekend. But clearly we did.
Clearly you did. And tell us a little bit about what you created this weekend that caused such a buzz.
I think the first event, the Mystery Wine Pairing Challenge, one of the things that people started talking about, we wanted to represent Alice really well. So the challenge was we were given the mystery bottle of wine. It's unlabeled, and you were sort of tasting and identifying the wine. But then the real challenge was to create a dish that pairs perfectly with the wine. And you were given a $600 budget, and you're shopping the Friday morning and creating your dish for 300 people that evening. But we also added foraging that morning. I think it was minus 40. But we really wanted to represent Alice and what we do really well. So we sort of made it even more challenging by foraging in the morning in a very cold weather.
Wow. And for people that don't know what that means, tell us what foraging means.
Yeah, for this dish in particular, we were paired with a really oaky, bold Chardonnay. So we wanted to sort of balance that with pine needles and basil and miso broth. So, and we created this yuba tofu skin schnitzel. So we folded like 16 layers, and it was pretty complex and bold flavors. So foraging part was the pine needle. We really wanted to use something that grows in Ottawa and in Canada. So we did that.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
We were pretty happy.
Are you warm yet, even from doing it a few days ago? Because it certainly was probably the coldest day in Ottawa to do that.
Yeah, we were pretty exhausted, but slowly recovering.
Right. And so that was the Friday, right? So what happened? Yeah. What was the next step?
The finale dish on Saturday, that was the dish that we won. We've already won in Ottawa and Gatineau. So That one was really complex, rich broth of 2-year fermented green tomato brine and koji broth. And we kind of highlighted smoked and cured maitake mushrooms and preserved corn from last summer, cured rhubarb jerky, we call it. It's chewy, sweet and salty, and sort of finishing on top with onion tuile with our funk dust. It's a blend of fermented and dehydrated onion, mushroom, and seaweed. So lots of complexity, lots of umami, deeply savory.
Wow. What's your favorite dish to create?
Oh, can't pick a favorite. The winning dish is on our current forest menu. So it'll be on the menu for another, I would say, 6 weeks. And then we'll be moving on to the new menu.
And so is it hard to get a reservation at Alice now?
A lot of bookings are coming in. But yeah, people can go to our website or Open Table.
And Brianna, where did the name Alice come from? How did you name the restaurant?
I really wanted to pick a female name. Me being a female chef, I wanted to give that energy, and I envisioned the service as storytelling, and I was sort of going through my favorite literature from childhood. So Secret Garden, Alice in Wonderland, a lot of Great Expectations, we drew a lot of inspirations from that.
Well, that is fantastic. And what's the next step for you in terms of, of your career?
We're going to keep going, and we want to, in the near future, we want to build a fermentation lab, and hopefully maybe a collaboration with fermented juice company in Copenhagen.
Well, that is amazing. You have inspired me today, Brianna. Thank you so much, and congratulations again on this incredible honor as the Canadian Culinary Champion. Was it even sweeter to win it in Ottawa?
Definitely. I definitely felt the love and support from Ottawa and all across the country.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, all the success to you, and I look forward to visiting Alice soon.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Chef Brianna Kim joining us today. I just am so happy for her. Congratulations to Chef Kim. We spoke last week about this event, and when I looked at the lineup, I was sending good vibes her way. So great to see that. Very important event happening in our city, wrapping around Winterlude, of course. This weekend certainly was busy for the United States government. We're going to be speaking with Errol Mendez, the professor for Faculty of Law at the University of Ottawa. We're going to be talking about that spy balloon. That spy balloon from China that was over the United States, got shot down, was over Canada at one point. We're going to speak with Errol and get his take on it. You'll want to lock it in to City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Little brown girl, little brown girl. Hey, I'm Picasso Win Von Teef. I'm so happy to be involved with Encore Ottawa Season 3. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have in store for you.
The regulars, the guys who keep this place in business. Last week, they had something to celebrate. Jason had just finished university. So they toasted his profs, his TAs, his old roommates. Well, they toasted just about everyone. But I worry about and take care of my guys. So even when I know they're not driving, sometimes that means bringing them a little surprise. And then they had a drink to me.
Brought to you by Smart Serve Ontario and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
Hi, I'm Meg from AIM Fitness, and I'm here with my buddy Fit Finley. Join us every week for Fit Over 50. We'll take you through some low-impact and high-intensity workouts designed to improve your strength and your balance. All you'll need is a resistance band, some light hand weights, and also your water bottle and a sturdy chair. Tune in right here on Rogers TV and let us be part of your weekly routine.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
City News.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It is Monday, February 6th. Good morning. I am Damilola Onime. Right now in Ottawa, -9, feels like -16. In Smiths Falls, it is -7, feels like -13. And here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. A host of countries have pledged assistance as the death toll continues to rise in the aftermath of a devastating earthquake that rocked southern Turkey and northern Syria. At least 2,300 people are dead after a powerful 7.8 magnitude earthquake, and several aftershocks battle the area. Britain has confirmed it is sending 76 search and rescue specialists with equipment and dogs along with an emergency medical team. Israel and Japan have also pledged to send help along with at least 10 European countries. With the weather forecast for Ottawa and the Valley, here is City News weather specialist Denise Andriachi.
Take advantage of all that sunshine today, but you still need to bundle up. We have a guaranteed high of -4, but it's still a wintry day, and we've got a wind chill that we're hanging on to throughout the day, pretty much in the minus double digits. So keep that in mind. We're pretty clear overnight, but tomorrow the clouds build in. We have some scattered snow in the forecast, not a lot, a couple of centimeters possibly mixing with some rain at times. Temperatures will be right around the freezing mark. The guaranteed high for today, -4.
City News time is 11:01. The municipality of Prescott is set to table discussions on whether to abolish the oath to the king. This will be for when politicians in that Eastern Ontario town take the oath of office. Making this change will require an amendment to the Ontario Municipal Act. The notice of motion will be tabled today and will then be fully debated later in the month. This comes as King Charles' accession to the throne had prompted renewed discussions about the role of the British monarchy and its place in Commonwealth cultures. It is turning out to be an expensive learning curve for drivers in this province after the Ford government's decision to scrap vehicle license fees and eliminate the reminder notices on driver's license and health cards. There has been a dramatic increase in the number of drivers with expired licenses and also dated OHIP documents. City News senior business editor Mike Eppel has the story.
Police in the Ottawa area tell the CBC they've seen a dramatic increase in the number of people who haven't renewed their driver's licenses or license plate stickers. In most cases because they simply forgot, which is not a valid excuse, but the Ford government halted paper renewal notices last March. And while the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Transportation both tell the CBC that people can sign up for online, text, or email reminders for their health cards or driver's licenses, this is still a big learning curve. With the government eliminating stickers on license plates, it's basically out of sight and out of mind. Multiple health clinics in the Ottawa area contacted by the CBC reported nearly half of patients not realizing their OHIP card was also no longer valid. Forgetting to renew can lead to fines of $325 for an expired license and $110 for an expired plate. Mike Eppel, City News.
And Super Bowl week has arrived with the biggest game on the football calendar coming up on Sunday. Both teams are now in sunny Arizona to ramp up preparations. Simon Bennett has the latest.
Both the Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles have arrived for Super Bowl 57 in Glendale, Arizona. The top teams in each conference will battle on Sunday. Sportsnet's Arash Madani is in Glendale.
The NFL is known for parity and playoff upsets over the years, but the two ball clubs that had first-round byes in the playoffs are now here with championship pedigree.
Stories to watch for: the Kelce's, KC's Travis and Philly's Jason, the first brothers to face each other in a Super Bowl. Also, Chiefs star quarterback Patrick Mahomes played through a high ankle sprain to get there. How's he doing? You'll hear from the big names at opening night, basically the refurbished media day, which in the past has had classics like this.
I'm in love with you.
Are you really?
Will you marry me, please?
Wow. That's tonight. Simon Bennett, City News.
I am Damilola Unime. for news anytime. Follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, just when you thought you had heard it all, there was a Chinese balloon heading over the United States shot down by the U.S. government on the weekend. We wanted to speak with Errol Mendez, professor of the Faculty of Law at the University of Ottawa. Hello, Professor.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Honestly, when I heard this news, I thought, what is coming next? It just seems like there's just something every single week that's happening in this world. Walk me through what you know about this balloon that also traveled over Canada at times.
Well, it not only went through Canada, but it's also went through some of the most sensitive military sites in the United States, including in Montana, the area, the airfield which has nuclear weapons. So the Chinese claim that it is a weather balloon, but it's very easy to show that that is actually not true, because apparently it does have maneuverability, which means that it can be guided. So it's not just a weather balloon which is drifting along the currents in the upper airstream. So it is fascinating, and I gather there is another one which is now in Latin America. So there's something really ominous about these balloons, which I don't think we've heard the whole story about them.
Well, it's so interesting because we understand they're about 3 times the size of a school bus, right? So this isn't something that's quite small. We know that pilots were spotting it, calling it in terms of what they were seeing. Why did it take the U.S. government so long to do anything about it, Errol?
Well, apparently the assertion by the government was that it is so big. It's apparently 3 busloads big, just the balloon itself. But in addition, it does have this information gathering material and metal aspects to it, which is quite large. And they feared that if it was shot down over the populated areas, it could impact on populations below. So they claimed they were waiting until it went over the territorial waters off the east coast of the U.S., and that's when they shot it down over Virginia.
How much have they recovered, Errol? Do you know?
Apparently they've covered most of it. Apparently there are on CNN pictures of the balloon itself, which is very large, as we just said. It's 3 busloads big. But I think the more attention is being paid to recovering the information gathering materials and sensitivities attached to it, and I think that's going to tell the whole story.
Now, I'll tell you, I've never heard of this before. Does Canada and the U.S. and Mexico and France and other countries have weather balloons like this? Is this something that I'm just not knowing about?
Well, there are lots and lots of weather balloons being sent up, but to my knowledge, none so far that I've heard of that includes this ability to attach to it information gathering and potentially military-style information gathering attached to these weather balloons, which can gather information. And one of the things which I learned yesterday was not only can it just gather and keep it, it can send the signals back. So it's a kind of what's called in national security intelligence lingo, it is intelligence signals gathering material, which even though we've got it, that information could already have been sent back to China.
Mm-hmm. And the relationship between obviously the U.S. and China, Canada and China, not a positive one right now. What does this do to the relationship between these countries?
Well, I am waiting to hear what has been recovered from the information gathering materials, because if indeed they were able to hover over some of the most sensitive military installations in Montana, for example, and send it back, that's very serious. That is akin to actually invading not just the airspace, but invading the sovereignty in international law of another country. We know what's happening in Ukraine right now with another country invading the sovereignty of another country. So this is very serious because, and both the the Secretary of State Blinken and also the President has said, we regard this as a violation of our sovereignty. That's very, very serious, because if it is the case and China is deliberately doing it, it's essentially sending a signal that, yes, we can. If Russia can do it, we can do it. So I'm really concerned as to what's going to happen next. Is this a way, and this is something which I'm thinking about and writing about, is this a way of China telling the United States that if you think you can basically do whatever you want in Ukraine, for example, sending weapons, or, for example, contesting our jurisdiction over the South China Seas, well, we can do the same to you. If that's the case, that's pretty serious.
Professor, when I think about just the time we're in with so much conflict, of course, the relationship between Russia and China, talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, one of the things which I think the United States, Canada, and other democratic countries are really concerned about is that you have two strongmen, President Putin in Russia and Xi Jinping, the president of China, who essentially are thumbing their nose on all the norms of international law and security which were built up after the Second World War, which was designed to keep the world away from a World War III. We have these two leaders now basically in their areas essentially contesting the fundamentals of that. And if that's the case, and they are teaming up, while China hasn't given as much weapons as Russia may have wanted for Russia to continue the war in Ukraine, there is significant behind-the-scenes assistance to Putin in his illegal invasion of Ukraine. And that really bodes ill, because is this a way of China saying, we're helping you now, but if we invade Taiwan, for example, we expect you to assist us. So unfortunately, we have these two strongmen who essentially are potentially putting the entire world in danger because of their refusal to accept the norms of international law and security, which was accepted after the Second World War.
Yeah, definitely not pleasant for sure. A little bit scary, as you mentioned, and when we think about the airspace, I guess in my mind that when we think about whether it be Canadian or U.S. airspace, we think that it's being sort of viewed all the time and making sure that we're all safe. Was this sort of because it was a balloon and because of the style of apparatus that it was? Did it sneak by some of that?
Well, according to some of the experts that I've spoken to, one reason why this is of major concern to those who are worried about military secrets and intelligence is that actually both China and the U.S. and others do have satellites which are above the airspace, which do take in information from that very high levels. However, when you have these balloons which are lower down, they're at 60,000 feet, they can actually gather information at a much more detailed level. And if it is true that these balloons were able to send back signals to China as they were going over the United States, that's actually much more serious in terms of invasion of military secrets and military intelligence in the United States and potentially in Canada, as it went through Canada too.
And forgive me, I don't know all the details in terms of being a pilot, and you may not know either, but we know that some pilots were spotting that. How close would they have been to that balloon? Was there a potential for some sort of tragedy there?
Possibly, but because I gather that it was basically operating at roughly at 60,000 feet, which is slightly above, not much above, but slightly above, I guess, the 30,000 to maximum, I would guess, 50,000 normal flight areas for the passenger flights to do. So I don't think that was a major concern. The major concern was, however, I think the ability to gather the very sensitive information, especially if they were going over some of the more secret military installations in the United States.
I learned a lot from you today. I really appreciate your time, and as this story develops, I hope you'll join us again here on City News.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you very much.
Professor Errol Mendez joining us today, Faculty of Law, University of Ottawa. We're obviously following this story very closely. If there's any news on that, we'll break it here on City News and share it with you immediately. Can you imagine living in a community Can you just imagine for a second having a 28-year boil watery advisory? I didn't say 28 days. I said 28 years. We're going to be talking with a chief about this when we come back on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Hi, my name is Arkantel and I'm part of Encore Ottawa. My set will be coming out this week, so I hope you can watch it and enjoy it. Thank you.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Your mouth can do a lot of amazing things. And your mouth can save a life.
Hi, I'm Tom Wong. I'm just one of close to 1,000 Canadians in search of a stem cell match. We need your help.
A simple swab is all you need to register on the National Stem Cell Database. You could be the one to save a life. Find the hero in you.
Send them home! Get rid of them! Gentlemen, please. And so, this organ, which I regret I cannot name, because of the presence of these members of the weaker sex, who, although they are married, could not possibly endure...
Get them out.
Patience, Jenny. Patience.
Get them out!
Dr. McFarlane! Mrs. Trout.
There's no place for women in a medical school.
Get them out!
If you do not bring this classroom under control, I am going to repeat every word of this disgusting lecture to your charming wife.
My friend Jenny Trout was not the only woman to face this kind of thing in medical school. But she would become the first woman licensed to practice medicine in Canada.
Everyone loves a snow day, but less fortunate kids in Ottawa are missing out because they don't have a warm winter snowsuit. Help kids in need and have fun at the same time by joining the Snowsuit Fund's Snow Angel Challenge. Simply fall back in the snow, make a snow angel, and upload your photo or video to social media. The Snow Angel Challenge, a very cool way to help keep kids warm. Visit snowsuitfund.com to learn more and donate.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
Next time on Simply Cooking by Chef,
We're going to be making creme brulee, a risotto with wild-caught salmon, lemon, and fresh herbs, and my favorite mista salad.
Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you so much for spending time with us here on City News. We appreciate it very much. We've got lots coming up for you. Nick DeFazio is going to be joining us a little bit later from Ottawa Fire Service. It certainly has been a very busy and chilly weekend for Ottawa Fire. We're definitely going to be connecting with Nick. We're also going to be connecting with Steve Warren, host of the Sens Nation podcast, and of course the Steve Warren Sports Show here on City News. We look forward to spending time with him. We're going to talk a little bit about that All-Star break and some of the highlights there, as well as the sale of the Ottawa Senators. We're going to be spending time with Steve a little bit later. We're getting ready for lunch as well. Greg McEachran's going to join us. He's a consultant here in Ottawa, and joining him will be Kate Harrison, Vice Chair of Summa Strategies. She's a strategist as well. We're going to be speaking with them about lots of different topics, of course, that we have to talk about. We're going to be speaking about Merritt Stiles. Is this a good choice for the NDP? We know that she was the only one in the running. She is the new leader of the NDP. That happened this weekend. So we're going to be speaking with her. We spoke with her a little bit earlier. We're going to be speaking about her, I should say, at lunch today. We're also going to be talking a little bit about snow removal. Has it been better or worse this year? It certainly has been challenging for many people. Many people can't even sort of get down their streets. So we're going to find out what their thoughts are on that. We're also going to be talking about, is Ottawa pricing young people out of this city? Another big topic today on the lunch. We're so happy to be joined now by Chief Wayne Muniz. Hello, Chief.
Hello, good morning. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's still morning here.
Still morning here. Chief, who do you represent? What nation are you representing?
I am the chief of Neskandia First Nation, a Northern Ontario community. I'm still under a boil water advisory for 28 years plus.
28 years. I mean, I just can't even get my mind wrapped around that. So give us a little bit of background here, Chief. When did the boil water advisory start?
February 1st, 1995. So February 1st, 2023 marked the 28th day we've been on a boil water advisory. Over that time, it's been a very difficult, challenging situation for our community. We know, as you probably heard, we've had some issues with medical and some issues that people are facing on a daily basis, and all we can do is work towards resolving this issue, but it's still a continued. It seems like we're in a constant state of crisis when it comes to accessing clean, safe drinking water in our homes, and it's been 28 years. Our people are still. It's taking its toll on the health of our community. Some people have experienced and told us that when they shower, they vomit, they get nauseated, they have headaches, they have scars, sores, rashes, all these things that attribute to the water that they're exposed from when they do this in their household. We have a reverse osmosis unit, one unit in the community that's supposed to service all of our community members, and a lot of people do that on a daily basis, where they take their 4 liter jugs there to go and fill up their waters every day. That's happening every day. Again, today, a lot of people go there, and some people will get some bottled water that they'll ration, and some people have to use that bottled water to bathe their little ones, like their grandkids, because it's a very saddening situation when you see, especially our young ones with these rashes, and they're pretty much scarred for life, even when they heal. So that's a very disheartening situation for our community, and it's been 28 years. We always talk about how this country is so great to live in, and it's one of the greatest countries in the world, and yet our First Nation, our people are still struggling to access clean, safe drinking water in our community.
What's the answer here, Chief? What's the answer? Is this the fact that has government just let you down, just making you live like that?
Well, the project is still ongoing right now, and there's supposed to be a 14-day testing. One of the main things in order to hopefully finish the project and move on towards maybe providing some clean drinking water for our community. But over time, close to half a dozen times, that 14-day testing has been delayed for various reasons that I cannot, I don't know what, there's always a reason why they delayed, and it's been going on for the last few years already. So still today, Health Canada is not able to recommend to us or tell us that the water is safe to drink, and we know what's happening in our community when our people are exposed to the water. The fact that something's wrong, the fact that when they're experiencing headaches, when they're experiencing vomiting, when their skin flares up because of rashes from exposure to water, and the reason why we say that is when they go out, let's say for medical appointments in Thunder Bay for let's say for 3-4 days or a week, when they go for their medical travels, their skin seems to be okay. And only when they come back, those things start to happen again. And we've seen a lot of that in our communities and our people, especially our young ones. Especially the fact that they're scarred for life, and we don't know the long-term impacts. We don't really know what the long-term impacts will be when it comes to the exposure of unsafe drinking water, unsafe water that's being exposed to our people.
It's so sorry,
but it's the reality what we're facing in our community.
Chief, we only have about a minute, but I want to ask you if the Prime Minister was to hear us right now, what would you say to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau?
We need to get this resolved once and for all. We need to get it to the point where our people can actually afford themselves or enjoy taking a glass of water from their taps and drinking it without fearing that they're going to have an adverse impact. And also, we did request back in early fall to meet with him in Ottawa when we were there during the AFN. But apparently that did not happen, and I'm not sure why that is. I would actually like to see him come into the community and face the public, face the community members, what our people are going through, see firsthand what's happening in our community. And I think that's something that's really critical, because we know everybody should be able to drink from their tap, especially in a country that's so rich like Canada. And unfortunately, we're not in that situation. This is the reality what we're facing in Niskandiga, and it's 28 plus years. It's just not. It's unacceptable.
Thank you, Chief.
Shameful.
It is unacceptable. It's shameful for sure. I'm so sorry that we're out of time, but thank you for sharing. Let's stay in touch, okay? I wanna follow this story.
Okay, thank you.
Chief Wayne Muniz joining us. What a tragic tale that is, to live in this country and have somebody, a whole entire community, boiling their water for 28 years. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, can you get this done? Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Little brown girl, Hey, I'm Picasso Win Von Teef. I'm so happy to be involved with Encore Ottawa Season 3. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have in store for you.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, my life changed forever. During the pandemic, all of our lives changed, and many of us turned to alcohol and drugs to cope. As life returns to normal, the increase in substance use from COVID has lingered, and some police services report an increase in impaired driving that caused heartbreak and devastation. Now, more than ever, we need your commitment to never drive impaired, and to encourage all of your family and friends to do the same. Together, we can save lives.
Hey folks, it's me, Giovanni Patini, the host of the RTV quiz show, the hottest show on television. It's the hilarious quiz show where you, the viewers, play for valuable non-existent prizes. It's got great trivia, fun facts, and a lot of laughs, all blended together in a perfect cocktail of edutainment. So join us Wednesdays at 7:30 right here on Rogers TV. Nice.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
One for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It is Monday, February 6th. Good morning. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa, it is -8, mainly sunny, but feels like -14. In Smiths Falls, it is -7 and feels like -12. And here's what's making news this hour. A 7.8 magnitude earthquake centered in Turkey has caused widespread damage across the region. Scientists say Monday's epicenter was in southern Turkey near the northern border of Syria. Thousands were killed in Turkey and Syria. More than a dozen significant aftershocks were recorded, and shaking is expected to continue in the area for weeks. The city's Auditor General is set to release 3 long-awaited reports this week. The reports will cover the police service and the City of Ottawa's response to the trucker convoy protest last winter. The reports are expected on Wednesday. A special meeting of the Ottawa Police Services Board will be held on Thursday to discuss the details of the reports. These reports from the AG are separate from the Public Order Emergency Commission, which is focusing on the federal government's decision to invoke the Emergencies Act during the protest. City News Time is 11:32. I am Damilola Unime. For News Anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much for spending time with us here on City News. I'm Sam Laprade. We want to always talk about subjects that aren't getting a lot of attention, and we're going to do that again today by talking about male body dysmorphia. We're going to speak with Kyle Ganson on this topic, assistant professor at the University of Ottawa. Hi, Kyle.
Hey, how are you doing? Actually, I just want to say it's University of Toronto, just to correct that, sorry.
What did I say?
University of Ottawa.
I'm so sorry. We love Toronto. I'm so sorry about that.
No worries. I totally get it.
Thank you. So let me ask you this, Kyle. When you think about this type of research that's been done, is this something like I sort of started talking about, that it's something we don't really talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of attention gets placed on female body image, which is rightfully so, given the sort of high occurrence of issues among women and girls around body image and eating disorders. So yeah, we don't talk about it among males, though of course that is, I think, changing slowly but surely, given conversations such as this. So talk to me a little bit about some of the highlights that came out of this research that was done. Absolutely. So what we did was, this is from a larger sample of adolescents and young adults in Canada. It represents about all 13 provinces and territories, so we got about 2,700 participants. This was collected in 2021. And we investigated a number of, eating disorder, body image issues among this sample, and it was included both males, females, transgender people as well. And in the study, we looked at muscle dysmorphia, which is a classification of body dysmorphic disorder, and so it's a specifier of that in the clinical sense. And the focus of muscle dysmorphia is a sort of pathological pursuit of muscularity. And so what that means is that someone might perceive themselves to be quite small, though they might actually have quite large muscles and be quite strong, and they engage in behaviors in order to achieve sort of that high level of muscularity and strength and definition of their muscles. And so what we found was some surprising statistics overall. And I should preface this by saying there hasn't really been been a lot of research on community samples of muscle dysmorphia. So a lot of the research is predominantly focused on like bodybuilders or gym goers, not surprisingly, given that a lot of the people who experience muscle dysmorphia and body dysmorphic disorder, fall in those categories. But what we found was among this sort of community sample of young people that there was actually sort of surprisingly high rates of what we would call clinically significant sort of symptomology of muscle dysmorphia. So that included over 25% of boys and young men, so it was 26%, and about 18% of transgender or gender non-binary people, and then 11% of girls and women. So 1 in 4 basically of boys and men in our sample were at clinical risk, which would be having a pretty strong, severe sort of drive for muscularity, having some level of functional impairment where they might be impeding on social or occupational or educational functioning, and also just general appearance intolerance, so like body dissatisfaction, so feeling pretty strongly, having negative feelings about their body, particularly their muscle mass and muscle tone.
And when I think about sort of young men, especially from a teenager perspective, what can parents watch out for, Kyle?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think we commonly sort of think, like my son or, my daughter or whoever it might be is going to the gym, they're taking good care of themselves. And now that's, of course, totally fair and okay. I think, making sure there's some proper oversight, that might be asking questions like, so tell me about what you're doing at the gym, tell me about what kind of things you're doing there, understanding like who else at the gym is present and what might the narrative be at the gym related to bodies and, working out and training and things of that nature, as well as, other use of substances. So like, for example, in our study, we found that people who had used steroids, for example, and not surprisingly had used steroids, were more likely to have, greater symptoms of muscle dysmorphia. So even conversations around like steroids obviously is a bit more rare than more commonly used like performance enhancers such as like whey protein or creatine, which you can obviously purchase at, Shoppers or any type of pharmacy or drugstore, things of that nature. And then relatedly, just high concerns about body image. So is the young person particularly focused on a particular muscle mass or muscle tone or just specific areas of their body? Like oftentimes it's, I want larger pecs or I want larger arms or my legs are too thin, without sort of the realization of recognizing that they might actually have quite strong muscles and quite large muscles, like I mentioned previously. Mm-hmm. So having conversations about that, sort of checking in about it, is very important. And then general observations of, food intake. Are they being very restrictive of only eating high protein foods, low carbohydrate foods, or high fat foods? Kind of trying to reduce salt intake, things of that nature. All those would be sort of little nuanced sort of dietary practices that people would engage in to again, enhance their muscle mass or, recover faster from workouts or, build strength.
Mm-hmm. Well, fascinating, Kyle. Let's stay in touch. I'd like to sort of follow this a little bit more as well and keep the story alive, okay?
Cool, great. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate you taking the time.
From the University of Toronto, Kyle Ganson joining us. I was determined to get it right that time. Assistant professor, really appreciate his time. We wanted to get connected today with Nick DeFazio from Ottawa Fire Services. Good morning, Nick.
Hey, Sam. How's it going?
Nick, I've been watching all weekend to see what Ottawa Fire Services has been through, particularly since about Thursday, right through till even this morning. It has been a wild couple of days. Give us a sense of what's been happening in the community.
Yeah, it's been exactly that, a wild days. Non-stop is the word for sure. Obviously, with extreme weather events, it's almost a guarantee that we're going to be busy. And obviously this cold was an extreme weather event. Aside from just your standard stuff when it gets that cold, like burst pipes and water leaks, alarm being tripped and everything like that, we had a significant amount of fires over the weekend, starting just after midnight on Friday. So about 2 a.m. Was the first fire on Daly Avenue, and it went straight through with 6 all the way till Saturday evening, followed by 2 hazmat calls on Sunday. So extremely busy.
And how complicated does it get when there are the temperatures of the kind of things we were seeing with the wind chill minus 38, minus 40 degrees?
Yeah. So it creates a multitude of problems for us on scene. The weather can cause problems for us, but it can also cause problems for residents, too, when they're evacuating. And we saw that in Stittsville when a few residents were escaping a fire and they were barefoot and they all got frostbite. Daly Avenue as well, somebody got frostbite on their feet when leaving the fire. For us, equipment malfunction's a really big one. We had to send steamers to multiple calls, defrost our equipment. Hydrants not working because of the cold. Hypothermia, frostbite for firefighters. I know you see that famous kind of where people throw water into the air at times like this. Well, we're flowing like gallons upon gallons of water in an area, so it turns basically into a hockey rink on a scene. And when you're carrying chainsaws and big high pressured fans, it's a risk for injury and fall, all sorts of different problems.
And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on today is obviously to give a shout out for all the hard work that was done this weekend, but to see if there's anything that us as residents can do to prevent any of this. Were any of the fires that you know of at this point caused by anything because of the cold weather?
Yeah, so space heaters is a big one with the cold weather, and not to blame people. It's freezing out, and they want to use space heaters, but you got to use them the right way. So one thing is always plug it directly into the wall. Don't put it with an extension cord from one room to another. Always keep it very clear of combustibles, meaning anything like paper or anything that can catch fire, about 3 feet away in all directions of a space heater. Never leave it unattended. Don't think, okay, I'm going to heat up my garage overnight and in the morning it'll be good. If you leave the room, shut it off. I'm a big fan of heaters or even fans that have you set the timer that it shuts itself down after an hour or 2 hours, just in case you fall asleep or you forget. And for everybody with pets and everyone with little children, obviously don't put it on a flat surface, but not somewhere where it can be knocked over accidentally.
Mm-hmm. Great advice there. And how are all of our firefighters? How did they make through this time?
Yeah, they did excellent work. Our firefighters and, of course, our dispatchers were super busy starting with that first fire on Daly. And, we're built for this, and we're always ready for it. We actually had a co-op student from Algonquin who's in interactive media design go join one of our training sessions during the heavy snowfalls and the cold weather. And she said to me after, why are they doing this in the freezing cold? She was so cold trying to get some footage for her video. And I said, unfortunately, calls don't come in 15 degrees on a sunny day every time a call comes in, right? So they're always out training. We train every day, and the best time to train is when there's extreme things going on so that we're ready when those things do happen. And they did excellent work. Even the first 5 fires I was looking, the response times were 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So we're always there, and we're always there fast and ready to keep the residents safe.
Wow, it just seemed, I'm obviously receiving all the updates from Ottawa Fire as in my role here, and it just seemed every couple of hours I looked, there was another update, and certainly keeping all of you in our minds as well, and in our hearts. Stay safe, everybody, okay?
Yeah, thanks, and always a pleasure to be on your show. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Nick. Nick DeFazio joining us, Ottawa Fire Services. Boy, we can count on Nick. He's always just there when we need him. Appreciate it very much. When we come back, Steve Warren is going to be here. We can count on him too. Of course, he is Steve Warren from the Steve Warren Sports Show right here on City News. Have you tuned in yet? Saturday mornings, 9 to 10. It's fantastic. We're going to get caught up with Steve when we come back on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Hi, my name is Arkantel and I'm part of Encore Ottawa. My set will be coming out this week, so I hope you can watch it and enjoy it. Thank you.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
I'm Derek Fage, and I encourage you to join me each and every weekday at 2 p.m. for an edition of Daytime Ottawa. We will share with you some fabulous stories, inspirational stories, and of course, recipes from local chefs. We'll tell you about some wonderful musical performances, introduce you to local businesses and charities, and so much more. Join us here on Daytime Ottawa at 2 p.m. weekdays with repeats at 6 and 11 p.m.
Everybody knows not to drink and drive, but some people still think it's okay to take drugs and drive. Police have the authority, the ability, and the tools to determine if drivers are impaired by legal or illegal drugs. And because drug-impaired drivers can pose just as great a risk as drunk drivers, they face the same penalties, like the loss of their driver's license. criminal record, fines, and more. A message from the RCMP, the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
Hi, I'm Julian Armour from Music and Beyond. Join us for a new show this spring on Rogers called Music and Beyond Presents.
Everyone loves a snow day, but less fortunate kids in Ottawa are missing out because they don't have a warm winter snowsuit. Help kids in need and have fun at the same time by joining the Snowsuit Fund's Snow Angel Challenge. Simply fall back in the snow, make a snow angel, and upload your photo or video to social media. The Snow Angel Challenge, a very cool way to help keep kids warm. Visit snowsuitfund.com to learn more and donate.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
Next time on Simply Cooking by Chef,
We're going to be making creme brulee, a risotto with wild-caught salmon, lemon, and fresh herbs, and my favorite mista salad.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
It's Ovechkin Crosby, and it's Ovechkin scores! His first, and it won't be his last. Sergei Ovechkin.
Well, of course, that was just one of the highlights from the All-Star game that happened this weekend. Steve Warren joins us right now. He is the host, of course, of the Steve Warren Sports Show on City News. How are you, Steve?
I'm fine, Sam. How are you?
Good. That was such a fun moment between, of course, Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin and his little son. How sweet was he? Sergei Ovechkin. Such a cute moment there, Steve.
Yeah, there were lots of cute moments, lots of fun moments over the All-Star weekend for sure. And just seeing two great rivals like that who've been in the league for so long and have been so dominant, and they'll be going to the Hockey Hall of Fame at around the same time, both first ballot Hall of Famers. To see them on the same line, that was pretty cool. And the goal you just played there was another one, almost a carbon copy version of it. So, yeah, that was neat to see. And someday I'd like to see, maybe Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid get to play together on a Team Canada. But with all these situations with the Olympics and the NHL not wanting to go, maybe we'll never see that. But that was a special one for sure on Saturday.
It was definitely special. A lot of sort of mixed reviews on the NHL All-Star weekend. How do you chalk it up, Steve?
Well, I think if you like the weekend, I'll probably sound like a cranky old wet blanket. And I'm not a fan of the expression, it is what it is, but I can't think of a better way to describe All-Star Weekend. It is what it is. It's kind of a schmoozing event for the NHL and their corporate partners. Certainly a great event for kids. It's always fun, for the players' kids, for fans' kids, and it's always fun if it's in your hometown. I thought Saturday's games were about as good as you can expect in the 3-on-3 like that. Everyone kind of skating at half speed, though, not really playing any defense. I used to say that the skills competition with the players, it was that was better than the actual game, but I've completely reversed now. I think the skills competition is, in my opinion anyway, completely unwatchable.
In what way, Steve?
Well, you had, all these skits that they were attempting. Right. You had Mitch Marner trying to do a Miami Vice skit. You had David Pasternak doing a Happy Gilmore skit, and neither of them had any hockey skill involved. It was just like 100% an attempt to be funny. If you're going to say that that's for the kids, well, those references, Hollywood references, are about 30 years old.
Right.
Meanwhile, I think, most hockey fans were going, what am I watching right now? To me, at the very least, the league needs to veto some of the players' attempts to be funny or clever. I thought, again, the skills competition has become the skits competition. And, again, unwatchable to me.
Was Gary Bettman in his glory, do you think, on a weekend like that?
Yeah, it's generally his weekend. He gets an opportunity to, that State of the Union address, both in news conferences and then sit down with Ron MacLean. And, I think if he thinks that's what most NHL fans want, it's, to me, another example of how out of touch he is with his core audience. Yeah, there are going to be people that are clicking around the TV and saying, oh, this is kind of cute. But for the core hockey fans, I don't think he's delivering to them with this weekend.
And how did our very own Brady do this weekend?
Well, I think that that was one of the neat storylines for Sens fans for sure. He got to play on a line with his brother Matthew for the first time. I don't think that's Brady's game, a 3-on-3 format where there's absolutely no physical play at all. But Brady looked like he had an absolute blast. I believe he had one goal. I'm not sure what he did beyond that, but his brother, he stole the show. Matthew is the hometown favorite in Florida, got to play on a line with Brady and his Florida teammate Alexander Barkov. Matthew ends up being the MVP with 7 points in 2 games. So, like I say, Brady Tkachuk looked like he was having as great a time as anybody out there.
It was really, we spoke about this a little bit last week, Steve, kind of poor timing for the Sens. We were doing really well, and this break, maybe was a good thing, maybe a bad thing, but I guess we'll have to see when they get back on the ice. But the timing wasn't great.
No, and it's hard to know what this 11-day break will be. Will it work for them or against them? It's been a Jekyll and Hyde team. They've run hot and cold all season long. So maybe this will work for them, maybe against them, not sure. But I think that if they had their choice, they might have tried to delay this thing if that were an option. With a 4-game win streak, including a back-to-back against their biggest rivals, beating Toronto and then beating Montreal and beating them both handily, they're feeling good about themselves. I don't know if a momentum thing is going to stretch over 11 days. If momentum is a thing at all, might just be a scenario of you're confident right now. And when you have confidence going, you want to keep going.
For sure. And we know the big talk as well is about the Ottawa Senators and the sale of the Ottawa Senators. We know that it's coming up on a year that Eugene Melnyk lost his battle and passed away. It certainly has been an interesting sort of 10 months, 11 months since his passing. We know that the team is officially up for sale. Any updates there, Steve?
Well, Gary Bettman did give one on the weekend. He said 15 or more groups have shown enough interest in buying the team that they went to the trouble of filing applications. I guess my first thought there, Sam, would be, how do you not know the exact number? But
right.
It's ballpark, so we'll go with that. And I guess they all got a chance to see the state of the Senators when it comes to the financials. Bettman says the list of bidders will be pared down in the next few weeks. And I guess if you look at it like a hockey tryout, it'll be the first round of cuts of potential owners. I honestly can't see it taking very long, because if I'm to put myself in the shoes of Anna and Olivia Melnyk, and they had the one condition of sale, the Sens have to stay in Ottawa. And once a bidder agrees to that, I mean, if I'm the Melnyks, I'm pretty much just selling to the highest bidder. Probably a few exceptions in there, but that's generally what it will come down to. So, and there might be the great opportunity to head to LeBreton Flats as well, which is going to make the whole concept of buying the Sens doubly exciting.
And the timing is just so interesting because of the, like you mentioned, the move to LeBreton Flats, the changes that have happened. We know all of those sort of legal issues have been moved aside now. The fact that this, that the daughters really insisted that this team stay in Ottawa was such a big part of this story, Steve.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Sens fans, I'm sure, completely appreciate that, because they really could have. They had every right to say that, highest bidder wins, doesn't matter what you do with it to us. So it's good that they put that caveat in there. But that's one thing I will give Gary Bettman some credit for. He's had his foibles. He's had, run-ins with the fans in the past that have irritated the fan base. But one thing he's been great at, and that's great for a city like Ottawa, which has had its ups and downs in the ownership department during Gary Bettman's time as commissioner of the league. Bettman has been very resistant on allowing NHL teams to just willy-nilly get up and move. It's happened. Yes, it's happened with the Quebec Nordiques, the Winnipeg Jets, the Atlanta Thrashers. But generally speaking, Bettman does not like to see teams move. And that's not, that's not him being, this great human being. It's a matter of they want the expansion money. If there's a great market that a team would rather be, chances are they'd rather have the expansion money, the $650 million that would go with the expansion fee. And so that's a good sideline to Gary Bettman, that he's resistant to the idea of teams moving around.
Mm-hmm. Because when we think about when Eugene, bought the team, he was kind of seen as, kind of saving the team. And then, his reputation here in Ottawa obviously took a number of hits. And I don't think Ottawa fans really felt the love from Mr. Melnyk, very many times, especially in the last 5 years.
For sure. I think if you go back to the NHL Outdoor Classic when he's having that conversation with the media, and he basically said that, if people stop coming to the games, we could move it. And but he's not considering that at that time. But just opening that door to that possibility, I think, was the beginning of the end of a decent relationship that he had with the fan base. And now that his daughters Anna and Olivia own the team, they were sure not to go down that road, and they really wanted to make that a priority to help preserve the legacy of the family and as owners of the Ottawa Senators. And that's certainly a nice clause that they've put in there. But, the day that Melnyk said that at the Outdoor Classic, that was not well regarded by the fan base, for sure.
No, for sure. These daughters are, they're young women. Who's around them, Steve, do you think that's helping them? They must have some advice.
Yeah, there's a three-person board that has been in place for years. This thing's going back probably 6-7 years anyway, that has always helped Eugene Melnyk along with decision-making from a business perspective, and they remain in place now that Mr. Melnyk has passed. And so they probably are at a stage in their lives where, they absolutely need that level of insulation. And so that three-man panel is certainly aiding them in their decision-making. Doesn't seem like there's a lot happening, though, just based on the hockey side of things. There's been a clamoring for go out and get a top four defenseman, do this, do that. And it almost feels like a suspending freeze as this ownership thing basically plays itself out.
Mm-hmm. Really interesting. Lots to talk about for sure, and lots to talk about on Saturday mornings between 9 and 10 on the Steve Warren Sports Show on City News. Are you having fun with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we got into a whole bunch of different things on the weekend. The mysterious firing of Belleville head coach Troy Mann came up as well. And a lot of talk about what the Sens are going to look like down the stretch. That 4-game win streak, is that going to continue? The confidence they've got right now, and can they make the playoffs still? It's certainly a long shot, but if they pulled it off, it wouldn't be as crazy as 2015 when Andrew Hammond and the Hamburger run went down.
I'll never forget it. It was awesome. Steve, thanks so much for your time, and look forward to tuning in between 9 and 10 Saturday mornings for the Steve Warren Sports Show on City News. Steve Warren, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam.
Appreciate Steve's time. Every Monday, we get caught up on all things Ottawa Senators. When we come back, it is lunchtime. If you've been working really hard, you can take a little bit of a break and spend it with Greg McEachran, Kate Harrison, and myself on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Little brown girl,
Hey, I'm Picasso Win Von Teef. I'm so happy to be involved with Encore Ottawa Season 3. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have in store for you.
I'm Wendell Clark with a word about winning. We all know it takes a team effort in any sport and with any challenge. You can be a part of the winning team that shuts out impaired driving. Whether you're out on the town or just hanging out with friends, drink responsibly. Always have a plan for a safe ride home for yourself, your family, and your friends. You'll be helping to shut out impaired driving.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and RogersTV.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to RogersTV.com to add your announcement to the community billboard.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
Is City News.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It is Monday, February 6th. Good afternoon. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa, -8 feels like -14. In Smiths Falls, it is -7 and feels like -12. And here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. There is urgency in Turkey and Syria as crews try to save hundreds of people believed to be trapped under collapsed buildings after a massive earthquake and dozens of aftershocks. The number of people confirmed dead, more than 2,300, but that is expected to continue to climb. Offers of help are coming from around the world. City News reporter Asha Roth has the latest.
Just a devastating situation in southeast Turkey and in northern Syria where a 7.8 magnitude quake rocked the area just after 4 in the morning local time. It toppled thousands of buildings and trapped residents while they slept. That footage taken from inside a Turkish hotel. Nearly 1,500 people have been confirmed dead across 10 Turkish provinces. Over 800 more have died in Syria. Thousands more are injured, and officials fear that that toll could keep rising. CNN's Joanna Karaca is in Istanbul.
It was so powerful that it was felt across the region in different countries, including Lebanon, Israel, Jordan. It was so powerful that we are looking now at these major aftershocks.
Now, the United Nations says it is ready to provide emergency response efforts to those countries. Over 40 other countries have also offered assistance, including Canada. Asha Roth, City News.
With the weather forecast for Ottawa and the Valley, here is City News weather specialist Denise Andriachi.
Take advantage of all that sunshine today, but you still need to bundle up. We have a guaranteed high of -4, but it's still a wintry day, and we've got a wind chill that we're hanging on to throughout the day, pretty much in the minus double digits. So keep that in mind. We're pretty clear overnight, but tomorrow the clouds build in. We have some scattered snow in the forecast, not a lot, a couple of centimeters possibly mixing with some rain at times. Temperatures will be right around the freezing mark. The guaranteed high for today, -4.
City News time is 12:02. Ahead of tomorrow's meeting with the Prime Minister to try and work out a new healthcare deal, Canada's premiers are already gathering here in Ottawa. City News Parliamentary reporter Cormac McSweeney has more.
Premiers are arriving in the capital already and will be holding a meeting both tonight and early tomorrow morning before they sit down with the Prime Minister. I'm told by a provincial source these advanced meetings are to strategize and set priorities for their discussions with the PM. Now, Justin Trudeau's already said he plans to work out a lot of the shared issues such as data sharing, but final deals will be made separately with each province so that money is tailored to their needs. He's not expecting any big major deal to be announced tomorrow. The feds have promised to boost health transfers, but it's unclear if they'll hit the Premier's request of increasing the federal share of health spending from 22 to 35%. Meanwhile, Conservative MP Garnet Jennis wouldn't say if his party would increase health funding for provinces if they were in power.
What we've seen over the last 8 years is that Justin Trudeau has thrown money at all kinds of different challenges, and in general, things are getting worse.
He does, however, say they want to see action to streamline credential approvals in Canada, something that's also being pushed for by the Canadian Medical Association. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
I am Damilola Unime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for lunch today. We're so happy that you're here. You've pulled up a seat, and Greg McEachran's pulling up a seat, an Ottawa-based consultant and Liberal strategist. Hi, Greg.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Just afternoon now. Kate Harrison is also joining us as well. Vice Chair, Summa Strategies, and she's a conservative strategist. Thanks for pulling up a chair at the table today, Kate.
Good to be with you, Sam and Greg.
I appreciate you both joining us. Lots to talk about today. We're going to be talking about global affairs, national, and then we're going to head right to our city. Let's start first, Greg, with the incident that happened, of course, over the weekend with this balloon. Supposedly, I say that tongue-in-cheek, this weather balloon from Chinese officials flying over North America. Does it worry you, Greg?
Absolutely, it does. I'm usually pro balloon, unless it's the red balloon from Stephen King's It. But this, let those who haven't lost a weather balloon, get the first stone here. It's the response from China was just kind of laughable, but very concerning. And I think, we were in a big temperature lockdown on Saturday, and so I don't think a lot of people went all that far. So I think a lot of people watched it in Canada, especially everyone that was, experiencing, minus 32. And I think it's concerning for China's relationship with the West. The other aspect that I think is notable is something that Kate and I, having done panels for a long, long time, have seen, which is when you try to weaponize everything against your opponent. You had a lot of Republicans come out saying that what a bad job Biden had done on this, and then it turned out that there had been 3 similar balloons under Trump that nothing had been done about. And you literally watch the Republican senators on TV being informed of this, and you could just see that look where they go, damn, the briefing wasn't good enough, or I wasn't told about this. Right. And if you're against it in one form, you got to be against it, period, or you just look like a silly partisan.
Mm-hmm. Kate, are you worried about this supposed weather balloon?
Yeah, I think there's definitely cause for concern, although this is just really the first time in some time that people have noticed and that China has been caught, right? There's a fair degree of regularity that these things are lobbed over North American airspace. The Defense Department officials have said that. The ambassador said that as well. So it is certainly part of an increasing encroachment from China into kind of this disruptive actor that they are. So I think that it's something to be mindful of, and it does force a bit of a question for our government and others about how the state of the relationship is with Beijing. The government, rightly, in my view, took a bit of a pivot on this late last fall, early winter, with their new Indo-Pacific strategy. They've turned up the rhetoric, at the very least, in terms of their posture towards China. Now we kind of need to see whether or not that turns into some type of tangible action. But I think there needs to be a united approach, certainly from Canada and the U.S., when it comes to how China is behaving and operating, whether or not they're truly an ally. I think increasingly that's less the case. So something to be mindful of, but understanding that this balloon is not the first and it won't be the last.
Certainly concerning for sure. We had a professor on talking about a little bit earlier today, and some of his concerns certainly was around the fact that, this balloon was flying over Montana, which has a lot of those nuclear weapons. So definitely we'll be keeping an eye on this story for sure. Let's head back to Ontario. Greg, let's talk a little bit about Merritt Stiles. She was the only one that put up her hand, so she was the one that won the job. Do you think she'll do a good job as the Ontario NDP leader?
Absolutely, I will. I believe that. I used to do a regular weekly panel on CTV with Merritt, and she was a very, very effective spokesperson for the NDP, and then became an elected politician. And I will say, I have a brother and sister-in-law that are employed as teachers in the Oshawa area, and they were very happy with Merritt's work as an education critic, not so much with the Liberals. So I think, one of the smart things that they've done, the NDP have done here, is picking an MPP that has a seat in the House, which was a big problem for the Liberals under Stephen Del Duca. No party status, and also not having someone who was, going to be on the floor of the legislature every day, I think, along with other issues, meant that the Liberals really didn't change their position in the last election. So, there may be an argument that the NDP held on to Horvath for too long, that maybe she shouldn't have run in the last election. But I think, you have a member of provincial parliament in Merritt that has some time at the legislature under their belt, and I think that's probably, going to be good for the NDP, while the Liberals still try to figure out the rules about who they're going to pick as their leader.
Kate, what are your thoughts in terms of Merritt Stiles?
Yeah, well, I observe, like Greg, Merritt to be a pretty effective opposition member. I think it's more concerning, Sam, though, just that there was no contest for, the second most important job, you could argue, in the provincial legislature, the leader of the official opposition. And to me, it belies a bit of a bigger challenge that exists in terms of getting people to put up their hand to run for these high-level positions. We see a similar dynamic playing out, frankly, with the Ontario Liberal Party trying to recruit Mike Schreiner, not all of them, but a vocal number, and some pretty high-ranking, provincial Liberals say that they want the leader of the Greens to come over and lead because I guess they're not satisfied with who's on offer. And, for a political dynasty like the Ontario Liberals to not have some really quality names coming forward, I think speaks to just how problematic and challenging it is to get really solid candidates to put up their hand and run for these positions. So personally, I think it would have been healthy for the NDP to go through that process, not to necessarily just anoint Merritt Stiles. Maybe she would have won in the end, but now we won't really know what other options were out there and which other directions were on deck for the party to take because no one put their hand up. And I think generally that's not great for democracy.
Kate, you echo exactly what I was thinking. And to your point, I think Merritt is a great choice. We had her on City News this morning. She certainly laid out the path going forward to 2026, June 4th, 2026, that next election. She certainly has her marching orders. But to your point, in terms of what's happening with the Ontario Liberal Party, we know that chat about Mike Schreiner is an interesting one, but we also know, Greg, that Yasser Natfi may be interested in that role.
Well, he's not. It's not a may. He's done a bunch of interviews. The initial one was with the Toronto Star, which what I thought was a bit odd for an Ottawa-based member of Parliament. I don't think it's gone over terrifically with federal members of Ottawa Centre, federal Liberal Party members, because Yasser was just elected, and that was a nomination that seemed to go by really quickly, and he was unopposed. I think it ultimately could be problematic for Liberals in Ottawa Centre, because if Yasser wins, there'll have to be a by-election, and Ottawa Centre is not a sure Liberal seat. It's gone back and forth a few times between the NDP and the Liberals. If he doesn't win, he's also going to try to make the case to the people of Ottawa Centre that he's actually doing something he loves when he seems to be wanting another job. That's not something I'd be particularly comfortable with if I was on the executive of the local riding association.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts in terms of that, Kate? In terms of somebody in a seat federally and then seeking, of course, that provincial role.
Yeah, you got to pick a lane and you got to pick it fast, because to Greg's point, people will wonder what job you're actually interested in. I think Yasser would be a great addition to that leadership contest. There's no doubt about it. I think that the Liberals are really poised to go through a lot of what Conservatives have gone through in recent years, which is trying to define what the future is of their movement. Is it more on the blue Liberal side of things, kind of a return to the center, i.e., Dalton McGuinty era liberalism, or is it something a little bit more akin to what the Trudeau Liberals have right now, which I'd say is much higher degree of comfort with the NDP and progressive policies and necessarily conservative ones or conservative-leaning ones. So these races are really good for trialing that out and seeing what the grassroots have to say about the direction of the party. And I would think that, again, with a history of governing like the Ontario Liberals have, it's a little more challenging argument for the NDP. But for that history to not solicit in my view, 5, 6, 7 names that are really excellent quality candidates is troubling for a party that was once so strong.
Mm-hmm. Very informative. Thank you so much for that, Kate. When we come back on lunch, we're going to talk about the King, we're going to talk about snow, and we're going to talk a little Lizzo. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Hi, my name is Arkantel and I'm part of Encore Ottawa. My set will be coming out this week, so I hope you can watch it and enjoy it. Thank you.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
With clubs, leagues, and courts in every province and territory across Canada, squash is the sport for wall-to-wall fun, fitness, and friendship. From coast to coast to coast. Learn to play and you'll want to do it every day. Squash. Play inside the box.
Your visit isn't really necessary.
I'll judge for myself.
I know you're an MP, Miss McPhail, but a woman has never...
I am not leaving till I do. How can such a society be called civilized? If those appalling conditions don't change, that prison will explode!
Perhaps our lone lady member is too fragile to know what is normal in a prison.
Is this normal?
Her courage would lead to the overhaul of the entire Canadian penal system. Agnes McPhail, Canada's first woman MP.
Everyone loves a snow day, but less fortunate kids in Ottawa are missing out because they don't have a warm winter snowsuit. Help kids in need and have fun at the same time by joining the Snowsuit Fund's Snow Angel Challenge. Simply fall back in the snow, make a snow angel, and upload your photo or video to social media. The Snow Angel Challenge, a very cool way to help keep kids warm. Visit snowsuitfund.com to learn more and donate.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
Next time on Simply Cooking by Chef,
We're going to be making creme brulee, a risotto with wild-caught salmon, lemon, and fresh herbs, and my favorite mista salad.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
And we're back on the lunch, and I'm so happy. Kate Harrison is here with me, Vice Chair, Summa Strategies. She's a conservative strategist. Hi, Kate. Thanks for coming back. Appreciate it very much. And Greg McEachran has returned as well, Ottawa-based consultant and Liberal strategist. Can we talk a little snow, first of all, Kate?
Do we need to?
Do we need to? Exactly. Yes, we need to, Kate.
Okay.
So is it better or worse? Like, some people are really complaining this year about the snowbanks. Of course, it all depends on Mother Nature as well, how much snow she's sending us.
Yeah.
But I really find that this year has been a lot of complaints.
Yeah, I mean, anecdotally, it does seem to be a little bit worse for bear this year. I mean, you know, for what it's worth, I'm not on a major throughway, although those seem to be getting cleared pretty regularly. I find my commute from, I'm in the Beacon Hill neighborhood down to downtown for work is pretty smooth, and the highways are great. But of course, some of those residential streets aren't aren't getting the clearing that I think many people would want to see. I have chatted with a bunch of colleagues, and again, this is all anecdotal, but it sounds like sidewalks are a little bit better, and they're getting some attention there, and I think that there's been a priority put on sidewalks and bike lanes and other things, so that's good to see. But I'm not sure, I don't know that there's necessarily a number, or I think this is a situation where not everyone is going to be happy. But I would hope that, given the funding that the city's committed or trying to commit through this budget cycle to improve things of this nature, that there would be a little bit more, you would see the fruits of that a little bit more readily maybe in the next winter season. So room for improvement for sure.
For sure. And Greg, are you snowed in or are you able to get out, my friend?
I'm able to get out, but I will tell you it took a joint effort of many neighbors and frequent follow-ups with our local councillor, with the city's website, with the city's 311. We had drifts, snowbanks that were 8 feet across, and it's a small side street in Old Ottawa East. And I posted a couple of photos on Twitter because it did look like a country road. And we're, just off a main artery that connects Main Street with Ottawa U, Greenfield Avenue. It's highly traveled every day at rush hour. But just off it, if there were people parking on our street, and we're close to University of Ottawa in our case, and so there were a lot of, side street parking. And, thankfully, in one way, the canal didn't open because that's also a big challenge for us here. But we couldn't get in and out of our driveways around the cars that were parked in the street, and you could barely, to say it was one-lane traffic would be generous. And we had to stay really on top of our councillor. And I think, our expectations, I don't think are enormous. We understand that, there was a lot of snow. I think the challenge was in the initial snowstorm to perhaps weren't as vigilant to get on top of that one before the next snowstorm happened, and it kind of is a domino effect. And then you get into the toss-up between snow clearing and snow removal. Well, if they're still working on snow clearing, they're not going to be removing the big banks, but it just seems like we weren't getting anywhere at all.
It definitely challenging. I live in a brand new neighborhood, and it seems like there's about 3 or 4 streets every time they just miss us. They do the rest of the neighborhood, and I'm not complaining. Everybody's working really, really hard, but it certainly seems like that that can be a bit challenging for people, especially when you're trying to get out or you're trying to come home and you're just trying to make it down the street. So,
especially with I was just going to add, Sam, with the drifts being that high, it's also a visibility issue for motorists, or even for residential neighborhoods with kids running out, etc. So it's especially the removal portion. I think Greg's right. There is a distinction there, and I think I've observed the clearing to be not bad, but the removal is a whole other story.
Well, I've committed this week to writing a letter to council about the portion on Leitrim near the airport there. It is absolutely treacherous right there, and also treacherous on some of those areas where their farmer fields are. And when they do put up that, to keep those crops and those corn stalks up, it does help. So I'm hoping to bring attention to some of those issues as well. Let's ask a little bit in terms of, the price of everything, Kate, just going through the roof. Can we talk a little bit about Ottawa, and are we pricing young people out of this city? Can you be a young person living in Ottawa anymore?
It's becoming more and more difficult. That's the case for pretty much every urban center, but it used to be that, you could come to Ottawa, many people could get a well-paying career in the public service, and, you'd be able to be pretty financially secure and in a position to afford a home. That dynamic, of course, is changing as home prices become more and more unattainable as rent prices increase. So I still think Ottawa is a great city for young people because of our academic institutions, because we have a major stable employer in the city. and more private sector investment, people thinking about Ottawa in terms of a tech hub, and certainly if you care about health science, proximity to hospitals, Ottawa is a pretty good bet. But I think for a lot of young people, they're just going to end up staying closer to home, Sam, because they might have to maybe live with family longer, or living in small and medium-sized towns is a little more affordable. So it's a complex series of things that need to be addressed in order to fix that. Trying to get more housing built is, I think, one of the biggest parts of that equation. So that's something I think not just this term of council, but the provincial government is going to be judged on pretty heavily over the course of the next few years.
Certainly will be. And, housing and selling houses and the real estate market has been top of mind for me, Greg. I'm just in the middle of selling a house right now. And, we had lots of showings and lots of activity. And it's just amazing to see the amount of people trying to get into the market, even in the market we're in right now. They're trying to find a deal, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. When I moved here almost 20 years ago from Halifax, the rental pricings were about the same. But one of the things that I was very happy to learn about in Ottawa is that heat included was expected, whereas in Nova Scotia, there's a lot of reliance on electric and oil heat. And I remember, this may sound really strange to a lot of people in Ottawa, but, as a young professional starting out, trying to figure out how I was going to keep, the oil tank filled and not making a lot of money and living with a couple of other people. So at least there was, a little bit of that positive, in terms of Ottawa, where you had that kind of that basic as included. But again, it's another domino effect. If you don't have young people downtown, and we complain about, even before the pandemic, about people not coming downtown or the tumbleweeds going down Spark Street on a Sunday. You really do need younger people that are starting out, have a bit of disposable income and want to have, go to restaurants or go see live shows. And if you don't do that and you're sending them out of town, we're also putting pressure on our on our transit, which we've talked about lots of times, still has some kinks to be worked out. So it is not great for younger people to have to find a spot. I mean, the apartment I lived in when I moved here was built in the 1920s. It was built for a growing public service. We still have that tradition, but we'll lose a lot of what makes the downtown of Ottawa special if it's empty on weekends.
Absolutely beautifully said. Kate, did you watch the Grammys last night?
I didn't. I find, a lot of these shows are going past my bedtime, having two toddlers.
Right.
So, no, I didn't. And I'm a little bit more interested in the fashion, Sam. So as long as I catch the red carpet, I'm not too interested in the awards. So I didn't catch it, but I understand Beyonce had a very good night.
Well, yes, she did have a very good night. And lots of different, we saw Bonnie Raitt win. We saw Harry Styles, of course. Smokey Robinson received something. So it was kind of an interesting evening. Did you watch, Greg?
Partly, and it's funny. This is how often we, experience things. I'm on a group text with some friends, and someone said Shania is on the Grammys, and I mean, I love great Canadian philosophers like Shania Twain. Unfortunately, it wasn't quick enough for me to catch the performance live, but one of the ones that I did that really struck me was the tribute to Christine McVie with Mick Fleetwood, Bonnie Raitt, and Soak Up the Sun, Sheryl Crow.
Sheryl Crow, yeah.
And that was really, really moving, quite something. And I was also really pleased to see Bonnie Raitt win. She mentioned the late, great John Prine. And I remember when the 90s started, and Bonnie Raitt kind of moved from that kind of well-respected to well-known artist through the Grammys. She had a huge couple of Grammy wins in the early 90s, different years. Yeah. And it was really nice to see her recognized last night for such great music, and then also the tribute to John Prine.
Absolutely. She's one of my favorites as well. Greg, I really appreciate your time today. Greg McEachran joining us, Ottawa-based consultant and Liberal strategist. Kate Harrison, Vice Chair of Summa Strategies and a Conservative strategist. We're going to go out with a little Lizzo here on City News, because you know what? It's about damn time.
so down and under pressure. I'm way too fine to be distressed, yeah. Oh, I'm not the girl I was or used to be. Bitch, I might be better. Turn up the music.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Little brown girl, Hey, I'm Picasso Win Von Teef. I'm so happy to be involved with Encore Ottawa Season 3. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have in store for you.
For 25 years, you've been helping to make our roads safer by doing the right thing. You've been the designated driver, you've stayed over, called home, you've called a cab or a friend, and planned ahead. Let's keep doing the right thing. Support sober driving by getting yourself and your friends home safely.
Do the right thing.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
Once upon a time, in a nursery rhyme, there were 3 bears. 1, 2, 3 bears. And they went a-walking in the cool woods a-talking while their porridge began.
Rogers TV invites you to let your imagination roam as we present Ottawa Storytellers. Each week we'll present a collection of original creative stories and inspirations for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers on Rogers TV.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It is Monday, February 6th. Good afternoon. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa and in Smiths Falls, -7. Mainly sunny, feels like -13. And here's what's making news this hour. The death toll has now surpassed 2,300 people after a 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck Turkey and Syria early this morning. Thousands of buildings were reported collapsed in an area stretching 330 kilometers between both countries. In Turkey, people trying to leave the quake-stricken regions are causing traffic jams, hampering emergency teams trying to reach the affected areas, and rescue crews are forming human chains to help remove debris as they search for survivors underneath the rubble. And Canada is stepping up with offers to help after the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. In a statement, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called the reports and images from both countries devastating and extended his thoughts to those affected. Turkey's disaster management agency says a second quake measuring 7.5 in magnitude struck hours later, about 100 kilometers from where the first massive tremor struck. Global Affairs Canada has so far not commented on the situation. And starting today, Ottawa residents can voice their opinions on the 2023 draft budget. Consultations on the budget, which included 2.5% property tax increase, kicks off today. These consultations are hosted by city councillors. Each committee will get their turn to hear from the public at a later date. The meeting is scheduled for the Rideau Jock Ward this evening. City News time is 12:32. I am Damilola Unime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
And we're back on City News from 12:30 to 1 o'clock every day. We have the business lunch. We wanted to make it a sweet lunch today. Everything we're talking about today has got a sweet twist to it. And we're starting with Colin Gallagher, the operations manager at Stanley's Maple Farm. Hi, Colin.
Hello, how are you doing?
Fantastic, because Stanley's Maple Farm is one of my favorite places in all of the region. I love it so much.
And we love having you. I was actually talking to Earl Stanley just before I came on, and he wanted to make sure I said hi to you from him.
Oh, that's very, very sweet. And speaking of sweet, the maple season, of course, is right around the corner. But today is Maple Syrup Day, so we wanted to mark that day today for sure with you. Tell us how we're going to be preparing for that sweet season.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, as a lot of people know, there's a lot that goes into it. Sometimes, looking from the outside, it might seem easy, but there is a lot indeed that goes into the planning process of it all. Especially, we've been doing it. We're celebrating 29 years of being open for maple syrup season this year. So we're always trying to improve and making sure that everything's ready to go, especially as, we're coming out of the pandemic and that. This will be the first year that we're going to open the Pancake House back up so people can actually come in and sit down and have breakfast again.
Well, don't even tease me, Colin, because that is one of my favorite things to do. I used to bring my daughter every single year. We would go, and that was a tradition, right?
Exactly, and that's what we're trying to get back to, right? Like, because of the pandemic and that, we haven't been able to open. And we've heard lots of people just like you that are, it's a tradition. We want to come in and we want to have you. So we're going to get back to it this year and do it a little bit differently, but still have it.
Okay, so you're the operations manager. That's a big job. Tell us how we get all that beautiful syrup out of those trees.
Yeah, of course. So obviously it is a big job. You're correct. The way that we do it here is still the traditional way as well, which means that we go to every single tree and we tap a little hole and we put a little spout in it and put the bucket underneath and let nature take its course. And then, so basically, yeah, we wait and do it that way as opposed to the lines and everything like that that you'll see in a lot of the more modern sugar bushes. Mm-hmm. And then, as again, you've been here before, so you probably know the old 40-to-1 ratio that it takes to actually make the sweet stuff.
It is amazing. And, when we visit, obviously everybody leaves with their maple syrup, but there's also, my daughter was just mentioning on the weekend, she's like, are we going to go to Stanley's Maple Farm again to get the taffy? Because the taffy is her favorite part. So tell us how you do that.
The taffy is my favorite part too, I have to say. But yeah, taffy is really just maple syrup, but boiled down even more. So it's the sap, and we just take what we normally take golden maple syrup, and we boil it and we boil it and we boil it. And so that you get the consistency just right, and then it's poured over the snow, which makes it freeze, and then you roll it up and you get that delicious maple taffy. And
I was there, I visited, I was in buying my fresh buns there. I love doing that on Thanksgiving weekend. So beautiful. There's nothing like I felt like I was walking in a painting. Honestly, it's so beautiful. But tell us when you start inviting us back to get involved in all those activities.
Yeah, of course. So we're going to open the first weekend that Sugar Bush is officially open will be March 4th, the first weekend of March. And then we're going to be open all the way until April 16th, including the Tuesday to Friday of March break as well.
Oh, that's so smart. And then you're capturing Easter in there too, right?
Yes, exactly. We do our Easter egg hunts every single year. So we're going to be open the first 2 weekends of April for the Easter egg hunts.
Okay, Easter egg hunt. Got that on my calendar as well. Lots of things to do at Stanley's. How did you come to work at Stanley's, Colin?
Well, I've actually known the Stanley family for years and years and years. I might age Earl a little bit here, but my parents and him actually grew up together. So we've known them for a long time. So I actually started here. I worked as a part-time staff in high school during Sugar Bush season, and then basically just grew up around the farm for the rest of the time until I ended up where I am now.
Well, that's beautiful. That's lovely. I love hearing that. Are you getting ready for a busy wedding season as well?
Yes, yeah, we're it's awesome. We're back to full capacity for everything now. So weddings are going to be in full swing starting in May, sorry, and full swing, which is fantastic. We're looking forward to it for sure.
I have a number of friends that got married there, and their photos are absolutely spectacular. It feels like storybook photos. They look amazing.
We are spoiled for sure.
Absolutely beautiful area. For those that for the one or two people that are listening that have never been to Stanley's Maple Farm, tell us how to get there, Colin.
Yeah, so we are located at 2452 York's Corners Road, which is Edwards, Ontario, which nobody really knows where that is, but it is just a small little town in between Metcalfe and Greeley, so kind of in the southeast of the city.
Beautiful. My family's from the Metcalfe-Russell area, so we've been heading there for a long time. Colin, it's been a pleasure to get to know you today, and I'll say hi when I'm out there, okay?
Awesome. I look forward to seeing you.
Look forward to it. Colin Gallagher joining us today, Operations Manager for the Sweet Stanley Maple Farm. If you haven't been, definitely put it on your bucket list. Great activity for the kids or couples, some friends getting together, especially because they brought that pancake breakfast back. That has made my day. Look forward to that starting on March the 4th. I promised you it was going to be a sweet business lunch today. When we come back, we're going to talk a little cupcakes, a little candy, a little ice cream. It's all sweet today on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Hi, my name is Arkantel and I'm part of Encore Ottawa. My set will be coming out this week, so I hope you can watch it and enjoy it. Thank you.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
I'm Derek Fage, and I encourage you to join me each and every weekday at 2 p.m. for an edition of Daytime Ottawa. We will share with you some fabulous stories, inspirational stories, and of course, recipes from local chefs. We'll tell you about some wonderful musical performances, introduce you to local businesses and charities, and so much more. Join us here on Daytime Ottawa at 2 p.m. weekdays with repeats at 6 and 11 p.m.
Think it's okay to drive high? Think again. Drug-impaired driving is as illegal as drunk driving, and in Ontario, the penalties are the same. If police suspect you're driving under the influence of drugs of any kind, or a combination of drugs and alcohol, and you fail a roadside test, your license will be suspended immediately for up to 30 days. You'll pay a penalty of $198. And you can be charged with a criminal offense of impaired driving, the same as alcohol. Driving high is never okay. There we go.
Hey, going back in, okay?
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
Everyone loves a snow day, but less fortunate kids in Ottawa are missing out because they don't have a warm winter snowsuit. Help kids in need and have fun at the same time by joining the Snowsuit Fund's Snow Angel Challenge. Simply fall back in the snow, make a snow angel, and upload your photo or video to social media. The Snow Angel Challenge, a very cool way to help keep kids warm. Visit snowsuitfund.com to learn more and donate.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
Next time on Simply Cooking by Chef, we're going to be making creme brulee, a risotto with wild-caught salmon, lemon, and fresh herbs, and my favorite mista salad.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today on City News. It's the business lunch, and it's a sweet one. Laura Porter joins me now from the Cupcake Lounge. Hi, Laura.
Hi.
We wanted to have a sweet time today on the business lunch. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, fantastic. So tell us all about the Cupcake Lounge.
Yeah, so the Cupcake Lounge, we've got 2 locations here in Ottawa. We are a local small business that was started about 13 years ago. We have a Westboro and a Byward Market store, and we have a wide variety from cupcakes to cakes, cookies, the whole thing. And our Valentine's Day products are actually a specialty right now, as we're getting ready for some treats for the loved ones, with some chocolate-covered strawberries to go with your cupcakes and all of that fun stuff.
Well, that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to get people ready for next week. Right.
Perfect.
So hoping to send lots of people your way. Tell us a little bit about what you have in store for the Day of Love.
Yeah, so we've got some specialty flavors right now for our specialty Valentine's Day. We've got a black forest and a strawberry champagne. And then we also have some specialty gift boxes. Everything's on our website, but we've got ones with little love letter fondant decorations, some I love yous, some even threw a little musical one in there with an I love you baby box. So yeah, kind of a wide variety of whatever it is you're looking for.
That's awesome. And Laura, tell me what it's like to be in the cupcake business. Has it been challenging over the last couple of years, or has it been okay?
You know, thankfully, we have some really fantastic customers here and kind of in the surrounding Ottawa and Gatineau area who have really made it possible for us to kind of keep doing what we do. So we offer delivery as well, which I think has been a big help for us. So people are really open to kind of sending their loved ones things now via delivery from third-party companies. So that has definitely been a way for us to kind of stay busy. But as we get closer to Valentine's Day, it's usually like a last-minute kind of rush that we get the busiest. So we're holding out for that, hopefully.
For sure. Well, I hope that happens. What makes a great cupcake?
Oh, I'm going to have to go with the icing on that one. Our cupcakes, we really try and specialize on not too sweet, because sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming. So our cupcakes are a nice kind of stable, not too sweet, and then our buttercream or our cream cheese is a nice kind of addition to the cupcake. So nice and moist cake with some nice, not too sweet icing.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. And what are some of the other flavors that you offer sort of on a regular basis?
Yeah, so our two most popular flavors, kind of hands down, are going to always be red velvet and chocolate. Those are some fan favorites. But as we kind of get through, we have specialty days of the week flavors. So if you're kind of looking for something different, we've got like an apple dulce de leche, which is pretty popular, a nice apple spiced cake. And then we've got a lemon raspberry, which is also really popular for people who love that kind of citrus and sweet flavor.
I want to get in my car right now and drive to you. I've never even heard of that before. I've got to get there.
Yeah, we've got plenty. I think we have about 5 different flavors for every day of the week. So if you're looking for something special, you want a peanut butter kick, we've got that on some days, coconut key lime on a few days. We kind of cover all our bases.
That sounds fantastic. You're making everybody very hungry here. My producers are looking at me like, what? No cupcake, Sam? So the pressure is on for sure. Let me ask you, Laura, has it been hard to attract staff and keep the team staffed during this time?
Again, that's not too much of an issue with us. We're a pretty small staff. Between the two stores, I'd say we only have about 15-ish employees, and they're all really fantastic. So everybody kind of is a big team and really works together to make sure that our holidays and our big days are a huge success, but even just our day-to-day. So it's for me, it's kind of just making sure the staff is happy, and that's kind of how I'm able to keep my great team here.
That's fantastic. And when you think about, obviously, Valentine's Day is a big day, then we have St. Patty's Day, we've got Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, it goes on and on and on. Those must be all popular days you plan for as well.
Yeah, definitely. So all of those kind of, whether it be like an actual holiday or just those specialty days, we have gift boxes and special items created just for those celebrations. So we kind of, once we end one holiday or special day, it's on to prep for the next. So we're always busy with our specialty stuff, but it's nice to be able to kind of help people celebrate those big moments.
Well, that is wonderful, Laura. I wish you all the success and keep making everybody happy here in Ottawa with the Cupcake Lounge.
Perfect. Well, I will keep trying.
Thanks so much. Laura Porter is the owner of Cupcake Lounge. We appreciate her time today. We wanted to keep on the theme of everything sweet. We're heading to the beautiful little area of Manotick, and Christine McGahy's joining us. Hi, Christine.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So tell me about Lollies and Scoops.
We are a family-run
Sweets and Gift Shop here in Manotick Village. We're located in the Manotick Muse. We just opened on Friday morning to a very warm and wonderful response despite the freezing cold temperatures.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. It was very, very cold that day, but I'm sure it was warm inside with all those delicious treats. Why open up this type of store?
I previously was a corporate event planner for almost 20 years, and I just needed a change of pace, and I wanted to open a shop here in Manotick after moving here from Toronto a couple years ago, and I chose Sweets and Gifts because they make people happy, and I'm just really passionate about them, and there's also a great array of products available by artisans and makers, and I really want to feature those.
Mm-hmm. There is something about Manotick.
Yes.
Right? And so I used to live in Barrhaven. I'm in Richmond now. I did look in Manotick. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a house there. But I spend a lot of time in Manotick, and there's just something, it's just kind of old school in a way, but there's just so much to offer in that little area.
Yes, I waited about a year to find a spot here, and there's nowhere else I would rather be, and I'm glad that I waited because it's just been wonderful. Everyone's just been warm and welcoming, and the other local businesses have been super, super supportive of getting the word out, and I'm really appreciative.
Oh, I love hearing that. Christine, tell me a little bit about what you offer. I understand there's a bit of retro candy, too.
Yes, actually, a lot of people have been coming in, and they have been telling me that it just really takes them back in the day and going with their parents or grandparents to get candy. We have a selection of about 60 different jars of bulk pick and mix candy. I'm bringing in different retro candies every day, every week, and we also have unique products like edible cookie dough.
Oh, wow.
In a variety of flavors. We also have a great international section. We're going to do scooped ice cream in the summer, but right now we have an interesting selection of keto bars and imported Melona bars from South Korea. And we also have a great selection of vegan, sugar-free, gluten-free products as well, just because we are really mindful that we want everyone to be able to find something delicious.
Mm-hmm. And of course, this time of year, it's a little bit chilly for ice cream, but walk us through the ice cream portion.
For ice cream, currently we have what's called a Melona bar. It's a delicious, creamy ice cream on a stick. It comes in 4 flavors, including the original melon, which is a honeydew flavor, and we have a mango, a strawberry, and something that's a little, might be seen as peculiar, but it's really delicious. It's called ube, which is a purple potato, and it tastes kind of like the Lucky Charms marshmallows.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I have to try that, of course.
Yeah, we also have a Neil Sweet and Ice ice cream, which is a Caribbean ice cream made by a Trinidadian family in Toronto, and it's all natural and comes in an array of really amazing flavors like rum and raisin, guava passion fruit, pineapple coconut.
And so tell us exactly where you are in Manotick, because there's so many great little shops there. Whereabouts are you?
We're in the Muse of Manotick.
Right. And perfect, right? You're in the heart of it all, right?
Yes,
there.
we are.
Yeah. So tell me, did you have a hard time finding? I was just asking our friends from the Cupcake Lounge if they had a hard time keeping talent during this time. Have you had a hard time hiring talent?
No, actually, I've been really pleasantly surprised that people have been seeking us out. I'm still having people send me resumes every day, and I think it's just because of the reason why I want to open it as well is it's just a great environment to be in. We try to make sure that everyone has a great, happy, pleasant, positive experience, and we have a great staff of sales associates here that are just happy to be here and greeting everyone with a smile.
So, Christine, picture yourself in your corporate job and working really hard. And did you ever in a million years think you'd be talking on the radio about your new shop called Lollies and Scoops?
I did not. I think the pandemic changed things for a lot of people and their priorities and what they want to do and their goals as far as their careers. And I know it did for me, and I'm really happy that I took that plunge. And I encourage other people that are maybe deciding whether or not they want
to pursue entrepreneurship, just to go for it. If they're passionate and they're willing to take that risk, I think they should.
Well, and you think about, how brave it would be for you to make that step, because I'm assuming, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but some of those steps that you would have taken to get where you are today, we were either in lockdown or it was challenging for business.
It was. I remember writing my business plan in my hallway at my house in between my two young daughters' bedrooms because I was supervising online learning while trying to write my business plan. So yes, that rings very true for me.
Were they doing grade 8 math?
No, they're a little younger. They were in grade 1 and 3 at a time. So no, I think that would have been more difficult, the grade 8 math for sure.
I'm still having. Can you see that I'm still having a bit of trauma over grade 8 math during the pandemic?
I don't blame you.
Yes.
I would too.
It was not pretty, but to see that you managed to do this and just sort of you're having all of those different things put in your way in a way, and you just kept going, which is great.
Well, I'm really lucky because I have a very supportive spouse as well as friends and family, and nobody said I was crazy. They just said go for it, and without them, I definitely wouldn't have the doors open today.
And it's great that you're opening it. I mean, obviously, just before Valentine's Day, was that a goal?
Yes, it definitely was a goal. I'm actually standing in front of our seasonal tower right now with, I'm staring at our Belgian chocolate smash hearts. I'm not sure if you've seen a chocolate smash box before.
No, never.
It's in the shape of a heart. It comes with a cute little mallet, and then you can get truffles out of it.
Oh,
There's ruby red truffles inside. It's very cute. We also have these heartthrob caramel filled Belgian chocolates, and they're beautifully painted, and $1 from the sale of each one goes to the cardiology ward at Sick Kids.
Oh, how smart is that?
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very sweet.
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, I hope that you have an opportunity to, to have a great Valentine's Day, a great kickoff for your store, and then, as the weather gets better, you'll just see that store thrive, I'm sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll definitely stop in. Christine, I'll say hello. Christine Magahi joining us from Lollies and Scoops in Manotick. Go visit Christine. She's brand new business. We want to support her. We appreciate her time very much today. Listen, it's been a very, very busy show today on City News. We've been talking about a lot of different issues, and we started today with Merritt Stiles, the Ontario NDP leader. She has just taken over that role. So we appreciate her joining us today to talk about the path forward for Ontario in her mind as the leader. That next election, 2026, she's gearing for it already. We appreciated her time today. We also had some time to spend with Stuart Reynolds. He's, of course, a comedian called Brittle Star, talking about the economy, which sometimes isn't very funny, but he certainly makes it seem that way. Brianna Kim joined us as well. She's a chef. She is from the amazing championship that took place this weekend. She is the Canadian Culinary Champion. She has a restaurant on Adelaide near Preston there called Alice. And if you're looking to get a reservation, I would suggest you try today, because it's going to book up very quickly for the next number of weeks and months as she sort of basks in the glory of that win. She's very humble about the win, and certainly a very interesting take on food. She's certainly doing things very different there, so we applaud her for that, appreciate her time today. We also had a conversation from a chief in a First Nation that has been boiling their water for 28 years. Think about that for a second. Boiling their water for 28 years. The chief spoke about the fact that it was very, very challenging. It is very challenging for people. They're being sick to their stomach while they're showering. Their kids are getting rashes. They're not well. They're taken out of the community for 3 or 4 days. They clear up. They go back to the community and they are sick again. We asked on the interview with the chief that the Prime Minister make this happen. There is certainly different steps being taken to rectify that situation, but it's certainly not quick enough for the people of the First Nations Nestakange. We appreciate him joining us today, and spoke with Nick DeFazio as well from Ottawa Fire Services. He was talking a little bit today about all of the challenges faced Ottawa Fire Services over the weekend 6 or 7 big incidents happening in a very short period of time, with that, of course, close to minus 40 weather, battling all of that. They definitely did a great job there, but certainly some people getting some frostbite, trying to escape from some fires. So we hope that they're okay. If you have ever missed something on the Sam Laprade Show or on any of our shows here at City News, you can visit our website and listen to any of the podcasts. We encourage you to do that. It is my pleasure and my honor to spend every single day with you between 10 and 1. Lock it in on City News.
You've been listening to the Sam Laprade Show.
Tune in again for local news and community views on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.